Okay, and it looks like we're good to go. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Devon Grand Prix finals. You'll notice there's slightly more faces on this week than there were 2 weeks ago. So, can I introduce our special guest this evening? I'm Tom Thorpe, and joining me is Tim Paulden, losing semi-finalist, and Grandmaster Keith Arkell. Welcome to you both this evening.
Hi, Tom.
Thanks, Tom, and hi there, hi everybody.
Yeah, it's great to have you both. We've got two really exciting matches coming up. The finals of 8 weeks of competition, which I'm sure we'll speak about over the course of the evening. But we'll start off by previewing the Open match, which will be starting at 8 o'clock, which has got International Master Jack Rudd against John Underwood. And we'll preview the graded match, which will be starting in about 7 minutes' time now. So this will be a very short preview, but I'll start with Jack Rudd against John Underwood. Keith, Jack is someone you know very well. We all know pretty well. Tell us, what can we expect from Jack? What's he all about, and what makes him such a good player?
Well, first of all, Jack's very fast. He's an intelligent guy. Thinks quick. He's got a very mathematical brain. Um, he sees things quicker than everybody else, quicker than most people anyway, and he's intimidating to play against because it's your move most of the time. Jack moves fast. Um, so I think probably as well as Jack playing very well, always a risk that you'll play when you're up against Jack. You'll play below your normal level because it's a difficult guy to play against for those reasons. But I've always thought it's about Jack that if you're the favourite and you get paired against Jack in something, that's unpleasant because Jack can have very mixed results. The spectrum of results that you can expect from Jack is a very wide spectrum. Um, Jack can beat very strong GM very very quickly, very easily. Jack can have accidents against much lower rated players. So I would say that if a GM gets paired against Jack, that it's a very unpleasant pairing. If on the other hand, if somebody significantly lower graded than Jack gets paired with Jack, then that's perhaps not such a bad pairing for them because Jack's upsets can occur at both ends of the spectrum. Jack's upsets can occur when he upsets a very strong player, or when somebody Jack's big favourite against can beat Jack. So
Mm.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion this evening. I think it should be it should be interesting. If Jack does his best, it'll be very difficult. It's very difficult for anybody. But I don't honestly don't know so much about John's level, but
Yeah.
I'd guess that John's more consistent. I would guess that John is a 180, 190 player who plays at that kind of level
Well,
all the
Tim,
time.
you've obviously know both these players well. You lost to Jack in
Yeah.
the semi-finals, but tell us a bit about John, because obviously he won 2.5, 1.5 in the semi-finals against a very strong opponent in Paul Hampton. But tell us about a bit more about John.
Yeah, so John is the captain of the Devon County team, so people may know him through that. But extremely strong player, one of the best players in the area, and I think just before lockdown sort of kicked in March, he was having some very very good form, sort of beating 200 strength players. So I think it will be a really interesting game tonight. He's very very good at the longer rapid play games. I think he's had some excellent results, and that's been demonstrated for the last few months. So yes, it's not going to be a foregone conclusion.
No, well, I mean, the head-to-head record between these two in the longer time control, the 9+3 games, Jack is only 2.5, 1.5 up on John. So it really could go either way this evening. The blitz time control, the faster one, is a little bit more in Jack's favour at 2-0. But again, it's only two games. Um, I think it's going to be a fascinating match. Clearly, Jack is going to be the favourite, but um, is it completely foregone conclusion? Tim, you lost 4-0 to Jack, but did you have chances in that match, and were there opportunities for you to actually, play against it? And will John be able to take them tonight?
Well, I mean that's it. I mean, in the final game between me and Jack, I managed to actually get a one position and then lose it. So
Mm.
I would be surprised if it was 4-0 tonight. But yeah, Jack is so strong at the 5+2. It's going to be interesting what the final score comes out. But I would suspect the final match, the fourth game, won't be a dead rubber. Would be my prediction. I think John will still. I think he'll have a point by then.
So you're expecting us to have a long evening. Thanks for that, Tim. That's made me feel much better. Let's take a look now at the match, which is starting at 7:30. It's on a side note, it's great to see some people in the chat here joining us for this evening. So it's great to
Yep.
see you. We'll start with the graded section. That's starting at 30:30. Nicky Bacon against David Holmes. Both players graded ECF 153. I don't think it could be any closer on paper. Both these players, I think have got really good chances. Nicky Bacon, speaking to earlier, said he's played over 1,500 blitz games since lockdown, which I think is mad. And it's almost youth versus experience. Nicky is an 18-year-old looking to go to university, Oxford next year, and David Holmes is retired. Keith, as someone who has played in the senior championships in the nicest way possible, what's it like playing someone a lot younger? Does it intimidate you particularly, or is it something you just get on with?
It's one of the great pleasures of playing in senior events is that you don't have to worry about these younger players. It's not pleasant. You don't. Well, the problem is you don't know how strong they are. You don't know. You've got no idea how talented they are. You've got no idea how strong they are. They've got more information about you than you've got about them. Usually, well, okay, one of them's played 1,500 games, and that's in the last few months. That's a different matter. But
Yeah.
in general, there's less known about younger players. They're confident. They don't have much fear. You're playing a tournament, you're playing an open tournament, a weekend tournament. You get paired with somebody you've not heard of. The first thing you do is you go and check. Please don't be young. Please don't be young. and you find you're playing a 12, 13-year-old who's already got quite a high grade. Then it's not what you want. So but I mean, I'm guessing if they've played each other a lot, then the kind of surprise element won't be there. Or I mean, have they played each other?
Yeah, they have. So in the blitz side of games, the 5+2s, Nicky is 4-0 up on David Holmes, but on the 9+3 side, David has got 100% against Nicky. So it really is anybody's game. Tim, David Holmes, someone who used to be in Exeter, now not in Exeter and living in Southampton. What can you tell us a bit more about David Holmes? Because I think in Devon he's probably the least known out of the four competitors.
Sure. So, I mean, he's Chandler's Ford now. As you say, he used to live in Exeter. He went to Exeter University a few years ago and studied here as an undergrad. So he's sort of Devonian by history, but very interesting player. He's very happy to sort of give away pawns in the opening and cause a bit of chaos and make a bit of a mess. And I think his opponent Nicky, mate in -3, I think he's sort of changed his style as well over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's going to be super interesting to see how that sort of plays out. It could be a bit of a mess in some of the games. So,
yeah, absolutely. And as you say, two very aggressive players. I think it's going to be interesting. David Holmes beat Charlie Keane 3.5 half in his semi-final. Charlie Keane, a very strong player in the Southwest, and Nicky Bacon beat Steve 3-1 in a match that was really back and forth, and in fact probably should have gone 2-2. They have, by the looks of it, started their games. So David is starting with white, Nicky is starting with black, and we have got a black Mardima gambit. Keith, help.
Goodness. I get this position by accident. I mean, did this happen by accident? I mean, E4, D5, D4. Did he meant to go D3, or did he actually... I suppose you said he sacrificed his pawn, so I guess that was genuine. Intended.
I must admit, I've been looking at the games between the players, and this was what I expected. This is typical between the players.
I mean, this is already very unpleasant for black. I mean, if white goes bishop G2, attacking the B7 pawn, black defends it, we'll say C6, then H4. I'm not sure what black can do about that bishop. I mean, because you don't want he's played it, and after C6 H4, you're threatening H5, trapping the bishop. You don't want to move the H pawn to save it, because knight takes G6 just ruins your whole structure.
Yeah.
So I think black's already in big trouble after H4. This is the youngster, right? This is Nicky with black. So
Nicky is with black, so it's normally the other way round. You'd think this really, if you're being stereotypical.
He's got to come back from a very unpleasant position if he's going to save this one and get a result.
Yeah,
this
well,
game. He's got to.
it's
He's
interesting.
got.
Like Nikki and David have played each other 5 times, and all games have been um, David as white. So they've had this opening several times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, knight g6, and well, this is really unpleasant. I mean, I think Black's clearly missed something. I don't think they'll be. I don't think if we're following anyone's preparation here.
No, well, I was going to actually ask before in the preview. It would be interesting to know and see how much preparation these players have actually done, whether they've been doing anything. I mean, Tim, if you when you played Jack, I mean, did you do much preparation, or was it a case of winging it?
Probably more of the latter. I mean, yeah, I think Jack certainly did some preparation because he did play different things to what he normally would. But we were saying a couple of days ago, weren't we, when we were looking through the games, that we sort of expected to see this on the board. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean. The
Yeah, I mean,
evaluation bar, massive, not this exact position, obviously, but the Black Bar Dima. So, I mean, something's gone horribly wrong, hasn't it, for Black? So,
horribly,
Yeah,
horribly wrong.
yeah.
When I think, well, Queen e2 and Black's in big trouble defending. I mean, I don't think you can defend the e6 pawn. Queen e2, Queen d7, Bishop h3, and at the e6 pawn, when the e6 pawn goes, the whole position goes. The king's going to be stuck in the middle.
Yeah, I
White will
mean, is
get
Black going
castled.
to have to play knight c7? So is it worth
Oof.
taking on d5 first, or
Well, then
uh,
he takes. Then he takes, and
that's
some of the
true.
problems.
That's
So
true.
I was going Queen d3, but this is also unpleasant. I mean, and now we're talking about something like King f7, Bishop e4, Knight e7, then
Oh
Rook
God,
and then castles check. This is oh, dear, this is. I mean, actually, Queen d3 may be even stronger. Okay, now Bishop e4. Yeah,
yeah,
Bishop. And once you can
yeah,
put the
and
knight
then
on
knight,
f5.
knight
Yeah,
f5, yeah. I
it
think
may
this
actually
is
be that Queen d3, as tempting as it looks, I think maybe Queen e2 and Bishop h3 was more to the point, because that would have won the e6 pawn by force. Now I'm not sure you can win the pawn outright. I mean, if Queen e4, Queen d7, or if Bishop e4, King f7, castles check, Knight f5, and you've actually saved your piece. But
yeah. This blocking move with knight f5 is actually quite annoying.
yeah,
Um,
it prolongs the game longer than it should have been prolonged. So what's gone slightly wrong
mm,
already. Um, but he can just go Bishop d2 and castle, and bring the rooks to the e line, and it's still a really really unpleasant position for Black. But it'd be a good test of his
yeah,
resourcefulness. I mean, juniors are resourceful. Juniors aren't.
yeah.
Juniors have to be resourceful because they haven't got the experience. So they
Mm,
get into these. Well, certainly when I was a junior, I got into these horrible positions, and then you learn to be resourceful, to thrash
yeah.
about.
we have some suggestions from a certain I am Jack Rudd in the Twitch
Oh,
chat.
Jack.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
right, Jack.
He's
So obviously he's got 20 minutes before his game starts. So.
he's clearly doing lots of preparation. Um,
Jack
yeah,
will probably still be chatting when he's playing. He'll still be commentating for the game.
yeah. And Jack was suggesting bishop f4 and then castle and queenside, and David's doing something similar, but putting the bishop on e3, which is perhaps a little bit too passive, just worrying about the d pawn too much. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Got the E line open for rooks.
yeah, and it's interesting. Someone in the chat as well has said that they played next to Dave Holmes for 20 years, and over the board he's a massive time trouble addict. So it'll be interesting to see how the time trouble actually comes into these games, and how they manage their time, because obviously then going from 9+3 down to 5+2 could be a bit of a switch.
Yeah, and White's already inside his last 6 minutes. We've got 3 seconds increment. Well,
Yeah.
that'll feel like nothing. Is there Queen c4 here, forking the bishop and the pawn on e6? Then Queen. Actually, it's not so clear because e3's on. Yeah, no, that's a weird
Yeah, we got to watch out because
that's a weird sacrifice.
this
That's not.
this bishop's under attack, which is why the bishop probably sits better on f4.
Yeah, bishop e2 is a little bit clumsy, but it's not too late to remedy that one. Of course, the Black King hasn't actually moved yet, has it? So Black can actually castle at some point. And that king will actually be remarkably safe once it scurries around to h7. Suddenly, it'll be White's king that will be the more exposed. Eventually, after some Queen a5s and pawn storms. So what have we had? 94, knight f5. Yeah, so black's position has improved somewhat. Well, here bishop f4 would threaten. Bishop f4 would threaten queen c4.
Yeah, this bishop feels out of place here, but so it feels like you've wasted a bit of time going bishop e3, then bishop f4, and here comes the king onto this side of the board to try and get some safety.
Yeah, another white's wasted another tempo now by playing c3, which that bishop was nice and prone on b4, and white's just wasted tempo attacking it with c3. That tempo would have been better. It would have been better to wait to move the bishop first on e3 and then play queen c4 attacking that e7 bishop. So now I would say black is completely fine. I quite like black's position now.
Yeah, I mean black, I assume, is still going to have some difficulties with this e6 pawn, but it's very solid. Other than that, if you've only got one weakness, then
Yeah,
it
yeah.
might be tricky to break through.
Um,
Yeah, should Black be trying to remaneuver his other knight to? I mean, trying to think where the ideal square is for that. Is he going to put it on c7 and bring a queen d7, rook d8? It does look solid.
Yeah, like
yeah,
is the knight
yeah.
going to d5? Is that an idea?
D5 is a nice square. Also
Yep.
playing for. Oh, you could play quite aggressively. You could play. I mean, okay, he's played the queen to d7. He could have very quickly played for c5. And white's by playing c3, white's slightly softened up his own king's position. Uh, I think white should play bishop f2 at some point. I mean, because okay, black's not going to play knight h4 yet, but at some point the h pawn will be on Prix. I mean, because it's a pawn you can safely take because you're not exactly opening up an H file.
Why can't
Yeah,
why can't black take this straight away? Because it's
because
white's move.
well,
That's why.
it's white's
Um,
move. Yeah, I
that's
mean, I
it's
don't
a
think
good
white
enough
should.
reason.
Yeah. I don't think white should worry about it yet because the time is the time. The tempos are quite important at this stage. I think black should concentrate on getting the bits out, but at some point white's got to worry about that H pawn. So I think rook h1 was a bit automatic. Yeah, I think black's fully in the game. I mean, it's just unclear now. What should white do? I guess I would probably play bishop f2 because I'd been worried that pawn will go at some point. So I'd go bishop f2, move that knight away, and then start to put some kind of pressure on e6.
I think the chess police are out.
Yes.
That's my ass. It's me.
There's bishop f2 there. The police have gone away after that move. They've seen it was good.
I think they're a week and a half too late, actually. It's the semi-finals they needed to be here. Okay, so as expected, knight a6 coming to c7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now queen c4 is a possible move. And of course, queen d5 can't be played because that loses a piece for a queen for two pieces after knight f6 check. So queen
Oh, that's
c4
nice. That's nice.
puts a little bit of pressure on e6. Prepares to move the knight away somewhere, even possibly threatens knight c5. It's quite okay. Play bishop h3, which is not a bad move. It's a move.
In the end game, does white want to be trading this bishop for this knight? Because its
Uh,
knight looks
I
quite
don't
good,
think so.
but
Yeah, but I think then you'll straighten out the pawns.
mm,
You'll let that cure his structure either by going e takes or get a defended pass form by going g takes. So I think that the status quo should be maintained between the bishop and the knight. White shouldn't take, and black shouldn't move the knight away. But bishop h3 it's slightly the wrong direction because now he has
now
taken.
he has taken them, and
Yeah,
as you say, has now straightened out these pawns.
yeah. I think e takes may have been even stronger to just get rid of the weak pawn,
Mm.
and the king would have been very safe. So I would have liked, I would have probably played e takes if I'd been black. Um, Now, well, I mean, I'm looking at knight c5. Yeah, knight c5, white will end up with a bad bishop on f2. After knight c5, bishop takes c5, d takes c5, queen takes d3, rook takes d3, knight d5. You would have had a very good knight.
Yeah, this bishop being on the same colour as all these pawns would have been tricky, and this knight would have sat very nicely.
Yeah.
Tim, you quite often get into time trouble, and it's looking scary that that David is also going to get into similar difficulties, potentially, 2 minutes to 7. How do you think in sort of time trouble? Are you just trying to play natural moves and try and simplify it to an end game, or are you just panicking? I don't know.
Well. In fact, Keith actually said something really interesting on this that you might want to sort of repeat, Keith, if you wouldn't mind, about playing. When you're very, very short of time, playing the move that your hand wants to play. Is that the way you phrased it?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good advice in general in chess.
So rather than over-calculating and getting into the analysis in positions where you're into the last 30 seconds, really relying on that gut feel and the intuition.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. I've learned that from bitter experience. Oh, Black's just dropped his e pawn, by the way. He just allowed
Yeah,
knight takes or the g pawn. Knight takes
yeah.
g6. The
Take
g
your
pawn's
pick. The
yeah. I'll
knight
take
on
the g pawn.
c7 was defending the
Yeah,
e pawn, and so you could have just probably played king h7. But that's
yeah,
probably swung it back in White's favour, I think.
yeah. If the knight takes g6, I think Black's back in big trouble. Knight takes
Yeah.
g6. I mean, the h pawn will then be weak. White has played it. Now, I mean, the problem is queen f3 to h5 is going to be really, really unpleasant. I mean, it's a mating attack. Yeah, queen f3 now, and that's game over.
Yeah, just coming in on the light squares. There's no light squared bishop to defend anything on
He's
the
played
king's
it.
side. He's played
Very,
it.
but White's suddenly gone super, super. I mean, he's like playing great move after great move now. This is, yeah, first of all, he obtained a winning position. Then he played a few kind of passive moves and let Black in the game. But now suddenly he's pouncing. And this is over.
Well, I was going to, again, in the preview beforehand, was going to ask you, Tim, about the consistency of these two players, because I think both of them have been, had moments of genius and playing really, really well in tournaments, and then sometimes just not quite hitting the mark. I don't know if that's your experience when playing them during the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at that sort of time control, everyone makes slips and blunders, and it's part of the game. But interesting comment in the chat that says Black playing too quickly at this stage. I mean, 5 minutes ahead on the clock. There's no need to sort of hurry. So yeah, this isn't looking comfortable, is it?
I think
No.
now if White finds knight e5, yes, he's found it. Because if queen h5 immediately would have run into an exchange sacrifice,
Yeah.
rook h8, staying in the game. But by doing it this way around, queen h5 next, and I don't see a defence. It's simply mate, I think. Or really,
Yeah, being able to attack f7 as well is
yeah,
looking
yeah.
very nice.
I think you're winning a queen by force. I mean, queen moves somewhere, queen h5, bishop moves, queen g6 check.
Oh yeah, you've got g6 as well, and then
Oof.
knight f7. It looks like we're going to get something very similar to that on the board.
So bishop d6. Now queen.
Now, is
Oh,
queen h6 or g6 better here?
Queen h6, king g8. I can't see an immediate mate there. Queen g6, king f8. I haven't seen a knockout below quite yet. Goodness.
It's so close. It feels like there should be something there.
Yeah, I mean you could sack a piece and knight. Oh no, you can't take a piece. I was going to go knight c6 then rook e6, but then there's a bishop f4 check, disclosing attack of the queen on e6. So this isn't. There's no. I mean, White's obviously winning, but there's no instant knockout. Yeah, h5's a decent move. I'm surprised there wasn't anything quicker than that, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, these pawns are going to be very difficult to stop, as well
Yeah.
as the king being very exposed. And okay, White's got 50 seconds on their clock, but should be enough to get this position done.
Yeah, rook. Now there's maybe queen h6. Oh, he's gone pawn h6. That's also very strong.
Yeah.
Because the queen's in the way, actually. What White wants to do is move the queen back out of the position to h5 and let the pawns do the work.
Yeah, it's almost not a mating attack now. It's just
a winning because the pawns are going to go through. Yeah, I'll be amazed if Black can save this. You can go queen f6 here, and if rook blocks, you win the queen with queen h8 check. He has gone down that variation.
Yeah, that's looking pretty fatal. And remember, these guys are playing 4 games. They're playing 2 at this time control as White wins the rook there. And then they'll be playing 2 quicker games at 5+2. You can see that on the screen there, how we're playing the matches. This is the graded section match. We're going to have another match starting up at 8 o'clock, which is the open, as Black tries to get something going on the queen side.
Yeah, the other feature we talked about, Tom, is Nicky, the player of the black pieces. He will not resign, and he's actually stolen some absolutely
Yeah,
unbelievable half points, and what you see here, like half points and full points.
The Black Queen's on Prix.
Black screen saying,
Queen.
as is the white one,
yeah.
and the rook and everything.
There's,
But you know,
I know I can take the Queen for free.
taking the queen.
Yeah.
This has to be
once this queen drops, then I mean Nicky won't resign. I mean I've been on the end of Nicky winning as he takes the queen and wins the first game. So
Well,
David Holmes is going to take a 1-0 lead.
That was very entertaining.
Yeah, if every game's like this, we could be in for an exhausting evening. So let's just quickly jump back. They're going to take a quick minute break here. So you were saying, Keith, sort of in the opening, where did it all seem to go wrong for White in this?
Let's go back further. Let's just really take it back because I mean.
Okay. So we have this black
position
Mardina.
must be all right. This is position as normal. Bishop G4. In my experience with the Caro, if you play Bishop G4 usually to get rid of that bishop as soon as possible. You play Bishop G4, and as soon as you're forced to move that bishop again, you take off whatever's in the way. So here you just take off the knight. So I think keeping that bishop allows White to gain so much time. G4 and knight E5 and Bishop G2, and so that was a key moment. Bishop takes F3, and Black's still a pawn up for very little. I mean, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Nicky plays that way in the blitz games, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same opening in game 3 or 4. I can't remember which way round they're playing in the blitz, but.
So what are we expecting now? Because Nicky has white, and it's going to be I guess Nimzowitsch. Is that what he plays?
Yeah. So Nicky is an E4 player, and by the looks of it, David is a knight C6 on move 1 player. So we're not getting any conventional openings here, Keith. It's no Caraccans for you to give us some theory.
I'm not a theory man anyway. So I mean, I have I gave a Fisher random chess 960 simul against Hammersmith Chess Club a couple of weeks ago, and I've only played Fisher random chess about maybe a handful of games in my life. There we go in a second game.
I
actually managed to beat them 8-0. I amazed myself by beating them 8-0 because theory is my weakness. I don't, these non-theory things. I'm very happy to see.
And Nicky's playing this incredibly quickly, which makes me think that he's probably prepared this, and he's been working on something. Would be my suspicion.
Well, he's left his D pawn on Prix, so.
Well, maybe not then. But he's not taking it. He's not taking it.
Well, this must be an original position because come via a pawn just simply hanging in the air.
Oh dear. And
oops.
And Tim, we were talking about this this system that David's playing. That it's very similar to what he's played throughout the Grand Prix.
It is, yeah. I think a little bit earlier today when we spoke, he was saying he still plays the same openings now as he did as a youngster. So he said, if Nicky plays E4, I'm going to be playing Knight C6. And I thought, is there some psychology behind that? But he's true to his word. He plays what he knows.
Yeah, he's just gone straight ahead with what he knows. And Nicky, after losing the first game, is seemingly not going to sit there and just play position. He's just absolutely going for the throat. This could be a fascinating match, really.
I've got my fear about Black's position here is that after in this position, Black's had 3 moves and White's had 7 moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by playing the knight out to C6,
it takes
then
7
back
moves
to
to play White's pieces to those squares. It takes 3 moves to play Black's pieces to those squares. So White's 4 tempi ahead, which is, they say a pawn is worth 3 tempi. So White is a pawn and a third up, according to that reasoning. Yeah. And A6, well, that's only half a move, so that's.
Something tells me, Keith, you like getting your pieces developed quickly.
got that one right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but if Black can achieve a blockade on e5, Black can even be better. If Black, if Black can play knight g4, bishop f6, and then one of the knights to e5, be able to take back with a piece on e5, then that'll be a beautiful outpost for the rest of the game. And the knight on c3 and the bishop on d3 will become, very ineffective. They'll be pretty useless pieces. So, I'd go for knight g4 here probably if I was Black.
Yeah, I
And
mean
just
these
hope.
sort of positions, I don't really know too much in terms of like losing loads of tempi and still somehow sort of trying to play on. Do you sort of have this in the modern Tim when you're playing moves that seemingly aren't going forwards too much but are still
Yeah.
controlling the center? I don't, as I say, I don't know how to really play this. I
Yeah, I mean,
just like getting my
I
pieces
don't
out.
actually mind Black's position. I mean, I sort of feel in this position like the bishop on d3 is, it's out, but it's not doing very much. And exactly as Keith says, stick the knight on e5, and it doesn't seem like a big advantage to White in any sense to me.
I mean, what's White's plan here to try and do
e5,
anything?
e5. I think White needs to play e5, and then suddenly everything will be lined up, and ought to be some kind of assault on the Black King. I mean, all the pieces will be playing if you can play e5.
Yeah.
Um,
So is it just this whole position really is going to be a battle over the e5 square, and why in this position is it so crucial? Why can you see that it's the e5 square that's where you need to go to in this?
I think e5 frees up White's pieces. It frees up the knight on c3, frees up the bishop on d3. But now I mean, no, Black would like to play bishop f6, but he would have to think about g4 as a reply.
Yeah,
Because g4 does actually trap the knight. But then there would be bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, knight back to f6, and both players have weakened themselves.
but is it a position where Black wants to be giving up this dark squared bishop?
That's not clear. That's not clear at all. I mean, in a position like this, you could sack a pawn. I think one idea is to sack a pawn with knight f4, just to get the two bishops. Knight f4, bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes. Then you got a bishop c5 check, queen coming to d6, and a good black square blockade. So I think the pawn sack may have been not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, the pawn sack hasn't happened. The knight's dropped back to f6,
happened.
and White's played bishop g5.
Now knight takes d5 wins a pawn.
Ah, that's very nice. So knight takes d5, hitting the g5 bishop twice. So if White takes that, he's going to take the bishop, and if bishop takes e7, then the knight takes back. So that would have been a pawn take. He's not, for the second time this game, he's not taken a free pawn, and now White's going to be developing on the f file and maybe trying to get some sort of kingside attack going with his pieces.
Yeah, I think Black should be swapping off those bishops, those black square bishops, which he can do by playing. I mean, he's played bishop d7, but apart from taking the free pawn on d5, there was also a positional idea of knight g4 attacking the rook on f2, forcing bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, and you swap off. If Black can swap off that e7 bishop, he's improved his position. It's not a very.
And how come this bishop's not quite as good? Because it's possible that the bishop has a good diagonal along here.
Yeah, if it can settle on c5. But I mean, the white bishop belongs on e3, not g5, not g5. If White plays, okay, the queen's attacked at the moment. If White can organise queen d2 and bishop e3, then the bishop on e7 it lacks space, it lacks a plan. It's stuck behind. Essentially, it's stuck behind the e5 pawn. This is what makes it a bad bishop. That pawn on e5 will hamper its movement. But yeah, White needs to put to cover the c5 square with bishop e3 at some point. So Black's actually got there first, and he's found a different way of exchanging that bishop. Now, what I would be tempted by here is to actually not play bishop e3, but to play king h1
and sacrifice the exchange.
Yes, and then there'll be a really unpleasant pin on f6. I think that's near to winning, actually.
Well, let's just go back. So you're saying to sacrifice this, and then this pin's going to be.
Yeah. So king h1, bishop takes f2, queen takes f2, and then rook f1, queen g3 is coming. I think it's winning. I think there's no defence. I think you win on the black square.
It's a really interesting way of playing it. But as has happened, he's traded on e3. The bishop dropped back to h5, and now White is trading off these light squared bishops, or trying to.
Yeah, Black should keep them on. Bishop g6 that's a very good move. I like bishop g6. Leave white with the because now white's got the bad bishop. All the things I was saying about black's bishop on e7, I could now say all those things about white's bishop on e2. It's a bad bishop because it's on the same colour as the pawn, so it's got no freedom of movement. So I quite like black's position now. I mean, objectively, it's probably almost equal, but I'll take black here because black can play on the black squares. Queen d6, another very good move by black. I like queen d6.
And how Tim, do we think white's going to be trying to develop some sort of kingside attack? Because clearly his pieces are set up to try and do something on the kingside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually concerned that white's playing too fast here. I sort of feel that a lot of these are kind of instinctive moves, but it seems to have kind of slid across the board somehow. You know, what white had some much better options, I think. So
I think the exchange that was winning if black probably. I think black wouldn't have been able to play bishop takes f2. I think it would have been too much pressure. But now the position now for white is that e4 is a very vulnerable pawn, and black's got a very natural plan of playing for. Well, he's played rook b8, which is another very good move, and white had to stop b4, otherwise the rook would have also come into the attack on the e pawn. But black can play for c5, play for a5, just try to undermine that knight on c3, and which will, if that knight on c3 has to move at some point, then there'll be more pressure on e4. So maybe here c6 or c5. I mean, I wonder if c5 is the way to go. Oh, rook, not so sure about rook there. I think that's a little bit of a nothing move.
Noticed Jack and John are online. I don't think they're quite playing yet, but
not quite yet, but we'll keep an eye
due
ready.
To start very soon. Yeah,
we'll stick with this game for a while, but obviously Jack plays so quickly, we may have to skip to the other game and see what's happened.
But I think instead of rook b6, I think c5 was a very good move there, and threatening the b pawn. So forcing either b takes when queen takes hits the knight on c3 and pins the rook on f2, and if white takes on passant again, queen takes back on c6, and there's another piece attacking e4 and the knight on c3 is loose. So I think c5 is what black needs to be looking at in this position, and then I think white's in serious trouble.
Is it possible that when the three major pieces were sat on the f-file, black played rook b6 because he was just worried about some sort of exchange sacrifice? I mean, it doesn't seem to do huge amounts because there's no way for white to attack the dark squares, but I'm just...
It's possible that's what he was worried about that, but he shouldn't. I don't think he should be worried about that because the bishop on g6 does a very good job of defending the king, plugging the gaps. Knight h5 that's a nice move, coming around to f4.
I'm just going to open up Jack Rudd against John Underwood. We'll come back to this game and see what opening they're playing in just a moment, but we'll stick with this one for now. So white went g3 now. The knight was looking to come into f4. The knight's just dropped back.
Jump back again. Now black is threatening bishop. Probably he had bishop h5 last move as well. Yeah, queen d2 steps away from the threat of bishop h5. The bishop h5 wouldn't have won the exchange. I beg your pardon. Bishop h5 would have fallen for rook takes f6. The bishop h5 wasn't a threat in that position when the queen was on e2. But anyway, white doesn't want to have to worry about bishop h5 hanging in the air all the time. So he's gone queen d2. And I would say again, I'd be very tempted to play c5 with black because black needs to open up lines. If black's going to exploit his advantage, he needs to open up the queen side. A c5, white can either give up his passport, well, it's not a passport, but his strong pawn on d5 by taking on passant, which would then open up the d line and the c line for black's queen and rooks. It's gone back. Yeah, he's given up on the idea of c5, which is a pity. I think it would have been a very good move. So maybe he's regrouped. Maybe he wants to play rook c8 and then c5. He wants to attack down a c file rather than being side onto the attack. So the position's steadying a little bit now.
It's difficult to see how white's going to play actively here. I don't know if you can see any particular plans, Tim, in terms of getting it. Is c4 maybe an idea to try and do something for white?
Yeah, I mean, as Keith says, I'd definitely be taking black here. It feels like white's now missing his dark square bishop in lots of positions. So I'm not sure. It seems to be both players sort of marking time. I'm not sure they have. Maybe they're just trying to come up with a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Black's last two moves were rook b8 and then rook back to b6.
Exactly.
I think he needs to move that c pawn. If he moves that c pawn, and I really do think White is in big trouble.
Is it possible Black's afraid that if he pushes c5 that this d pawn's going to be very strong in the endgame because it's a connected pass pawn? I mean, I agree the activity's important, but
I think they just block it. You just keep on blocking it, and he can't ever move. And it's a real practical problem. Either you take on pass, in which case you haven't got the d pawn anymore, or you have to deal with the threat against the b pawn. You have to deal with the threat of c5 takes b4.
yeah, I think actually now the position sort of slightly steadying a bit. It might be a good time just to quickly jump to the other match, the open match between Jack Rudd and John Underwood started, and we have had an English opening. So if you two could take us through some of the ideas here.
Sure. Yeah, so John commented a little bit earlier that he always plays bishop pawn openings and he has no idea why. So we fully expect to see the English or the birds if he's white, and he'll be playing the Sicilian or the Dutch as black. So he has no idea why that's the case, but that is his repertoire. So yeah, absolutely no surprise to see this on the board.
Okay, well this position is about equal.
Do we think Jackie will be happy with this sort of position? Or do you think he'd have been looking for a bit more in the opening?
I mean, certainly the new Jack. I mean, me and Jack had a few kind of coaching sessions a few years ago, and Jack, while being absolutely fantastic to play with the initiative and any kind of tactics, just very very quick. There were some small gaps in his endgame play, and he's playing maybe slightly more dull looking positions. But I think in those areas, Jack's become more rounded. I think he's tidied up his weakest areas. Jack's become a lot stronger in the endgame. And I'm not saying this is because it's just I've observed it.
This is all you, Keith. It's all you.
Jack, when Jack puts his mind to something, he can. Jack wanted to become a better endgame player, so we did do some work.
And, there's some big changes in the other game.
Is there?
Right now.
Well, we'll jump straight back because this is a symmetrical English, and wow! So when we last left, Queen G5, H6, the Queen's dropped back, and Black has manoeuvred his knight, and an exchange of rooks on F6, and then White has gone pawn to C4, and
so that loses a pawn.
Has taken, and this can't be taken because this pawn will be dropping. Bishop's dropped back, c6, and this is the current position. So yeah, that's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, Black should be doing well. Should be doing well as long as he holds on to that c pawn. Otherwise, White would have some kind of active ideas with the 2v1 on the queen side.
I mean, what was c6 about? Because that seems to just drop a pawn, doesn't it?
I think he's going to just round it. He's going to go rook c8 and round it up, isn't he? Is this the idea? And because White has to hang on to e4, so his pieces are sort of tied down to that. Yeah. It looks like rook c8 and
it's very sharp.
Pick that up.
It's very sharp. I mean, rook c8, queen b6, then e4 drops, but White tries to hold on to that c pawn. Well, White needs to try and hang on to that c pawn, and we're getting to a very very unclear.
And 38 seconds left for
this is
David.
What we were saying earlier about the time trouble.
Yeah, queen b6 has to be tried, I think.
Yeah.
And then he defends on one pawn, threatens to play queen a6, which would suddenly give White 3 connected passed pawns. But he's blundered the c pawn. Now Black should simply win with rook takes c6.
Yeah, that defends the c pawn, but he's taken on e4 instead.
That's also still very good, but I would have preferred to just leave that one hanging on Prix and just take the c1 first. Has White got rook f6 here? I doubt it. Rook f6, bishop c2, and the rook would have to move again. And then bishop d3. So that's no good.
Oh,
no.
The valuation bar's gone nuts.
Yes. What are we? Well, I don't know what I'm
I guess it's just rook c6, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Wins the house.
Coming down, he's not seen it.
Oh, not seen it yet. He'll have one more chance.
He has another chance because this is a check.
Well, I mean, this is also fine, of course.
Actually, because rook f2, knight g4 wins, so he has to play queen c5. So that's
And
it's a simple way. It's a very simple way of winning a piece. Queen c5,
Now,
queen takes c5, check, and bishop takes c2. Oh, no, he could have gone knight g4 winning. Absolutely. Oh, could he have gone knight g4? Yes, he could have gone knight g4 because
yeah.
I can.
Now he
Okay,
can go
still
knight
can, still
g4
can,
after trading
still can,
on c2, so
still
a
can.
bit of simplification as well,
Yeah,
which probably
yeah.
isn't a bad thing.
Oh, it's interesting. We have top guessers. Top guessers. People are guessing on the
People are
move.
guessing, yes. I love the name Will He Sack, and I won't say it any other way,
yeah,
because I quite like my
will
Twitch
I
channel
say?
to stay up. But yes, this is and this would be Gashead David Holmes taking a 2-0 lead if he can convert this exchange up endgame.
Keep moving quick enough.
Yeah, we said before the match that Nicky had a fantastic record in the blitz games, but in the long play games it was David that had the edge. So that's
Yeah,
turning out in this section here.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this
This thing,
should probably be a conversion, shouldn't it? It's
yeah,
all seems
yeah,
to be falling
yeah.
apart.
You can even rook c3 wins from a king f7 or e4. Oh, that's a little bit risky. That was,
Oh,
b5 would have been impossible
yeah,
to stop.
yeah.
Why couldn't have won with b5?
D5's winning. Yeah.
Yeah,
a5 with
that
that was
that pawn just goes. Wow, that would have been
just a
another
queen.
Nicky Bacon swindle.
It would. Oh,
It's just a
what?
queen. A rook can't stop it. There's no
Yeah,
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
that's mad. We'll take a look at that at the end just to show the line on screen.
That's
As it
incredible.
is, that
Wow.
is a win for David Holmes. But let's just go back to that dramatic moment after a5. We were just saying
Oof.
that the king
What a
and pawn
move.
is good, but after b5, how is black stopping this pawn?
The normal route back would be rook a1 and then either rook b1 or rook d1, but the knight stops both.
Yeah. So, but after rook
And,
a2.
and then another way would be rook a1 and then rook f1 and then rook f4 check and then rook b4. But you can't go to f4 either because there's a pawn there. So all the routes back are stopped. So
Oh yeah, you can't go rook a2 because the
No,
knight
no.
covers
So
that.
yeah,
Sorry, yeah, that's
there's no route back. It's all
there's
routes
no
are
that's
way.
blocked.
that's
F
that's
file's blocked, so you can't go back down to f8.
And
The e
and the
file's
and the
blocked.
and the king is only one square too far
King's
away.
too
So
far away. He
nothing.
just wins.
yeah,
Yeah.
the square there. That would have been an incredible turnaround. As it is, it didn't happen. I'll
Oh, and
jump
if
straight.
a4, sorry, if a4, then b5, rook b3, knight b5,
Uh,
bishop for knight b5, and that blocks off the b
and
line.
the,
So every attempt is failed. But
yeah,
anyway,
let's jump to the Jack Rudge John Underwood game because obviously we've had quite a few moves in that. We left it when there was the queen moving to c1. Black's brought his bishop out to f5. Jack plays so quickly. It's going to be a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Both trying to exchange the fianchetto bishops, and there is an exchange there. And Black is going caveman
yeah, well,
with
h5 is
Harry.
objectively rubbish, but in practice it's very hard to deal with a move like that. Jack plays h5 against you, you just, oh no.
and h4 as well. Yes.
I mean, objectively, believe me, this is just rubbish. White in the centre is much stronger than anything black can do on the edges. But it doesn't feel like that when your opponent does this kind of thing.
And this is the latest position. I'll
Yeah,
just
Jack's in
update the
big trouble.
scores.
Jack's in big trouble
Yeah.
here.
Mm.
I mean, let me think. Rook takes d8. There's a lot of good moves here. I look at the arrow. Okay, I don't like looking at engine assessments when I'm analysing games, but
Yeah.
I can't help noticing that it's plus 4.2. So Jack's in big trouble here.
Yeah. Is there a killer blow here, or is it just positionally just really good for White?
Well, okay, let's look at rook takes d8. Okay, that's not so good. I think rook takes d8 may have been a move. I'm not sure. I was having difficulty calculating it. I think
Yeah.
rook takes d8.
Because of
And
course
if
you're
rook,
getting the knight fork on
yeah,
e6 after it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like it. It's worth considering. Anyway,
Mm.
I can't work it out.
We'll take a look at the end of the game. As it is,
Yeah,
queen b6, queen b3, and queen c6 has been
yeah.
played, followed by
Okay,
f3.
what's going to happen now is Jack's going to tiptoe his way back into the game. Well, I see he likes endgames now. I'm telling
Mm.
you, Jack likes his endgames.
Yeah,
He's
and
a
in
bit of
terms of
a-
playing endgames against sort of weaker players, obviously Jack is the stronger player of the two of them. But is it a strategy to just go into an endgame and try and grind it out? I'm probably
It
speaking
used to
to
be.
the expert on this.
It used to be against the old Jack. It used to be the way to play, but the new Jack, I don't know where. I don't know where the chink in the armoury is. It's not clear anymore. I mean, in this position, I would play knight d7. Oh, okay, that's a little bit limp. I think knight d7 was quite aggressive. You're trying to bring a rook into the seventh rank. Knight d7, knight takes, rook takes, hitting e7 and b7. So If there was a good move for White there, it was knight g7. But now, suddenly, I think White's lost any initiative that he
Yeah,
might
I'm
have
just
had.
trying to work out if there's anything with knight
Yeah.
g5 check, with
King
the double
g7,
check.
that knight e5 is a bit of a monster defending all the weak squares. Oh, he may be trying to force it.
Yes, it's John going to repeat here, yeah.
Well, after there's king g8, after knight e6, king g8. Then no, that's risky because then queen takes queen. Oh, he should have checked once more to see where the queen was going, to see where the king was going. I think he should have called Jack's bluff there and gone knight e6 check once. And if Jack wanted to try and win the match 4-0, he would have had to go king g8. Then rook queen takes queen, and the knight would have been more secure on e6 than on g5.
Yeah, in this line, White's just dropped a pawn, right?
Yeah, but it's very good for White after rook c7. It's good enough for White after rook c7. It's good enough. And then he should go rook. Now he should go rook d2. Don't rush into taking the pawn. Play rook d2 first to defend the b pawn. Don't let the black rook get into the game. Play rook d2, and then you've got some quite nice board control. That looks suspicious. Knight g4 is a bit scary against that. I don't really like that because knight was out of the game, but f4 brings the knight back into the game. So knight g4, king f3.
He's gone back to c6.
Oh well, okay.
It's just knight d6 on straight away, and then take
knight d6, and then knight takes. And the knight's bad on b7 though. It's a bit misplaced. I can't predict this anymore.
Is White going knight c4? He's taken on b7, but
White's got an idea.
Oh, he's hitting c6, of course.
White wants to give checkmate. White wants to go knight d8 check, king f5, king f3, followed by g4 mate. If knight b4, no, knight d8 check's winning. Knight d8, king.
The king has to.
F5. It has to go to f5.
Yes, that's nice.
Then king f3 followed by g4 mate. Jack's
yeah, the king's in oppositions here.
Yeah, knight d8's not an easy move to find, but if he finds it, that king's in a terrible state.
And if John takes the first game here, he's played, I think, a tempting move, but
wrong square. Now he's suddenly losing everything.
Oh no!
No, he's lost. He's blundered the whole thing in one move.
Wow.
But knight d8 was very interesting. That black king would have been all over the place.
As it is, do you go knight d8 here and rook b7 and just?
Well, it loses, doesn't it?
He's losing lots of material now, whatever he does.
Yeah.
I mean, rook d5 is the only move, but the problem now is the knight's horrible on b7. That knight's just not going to participate again in the game. So it's not, the problem isn't that he's losing the exchange. It's that he's also a knight down in effect as well. So he's just going to face the wrath of the two black rooks.
Yeah, and the times as well. I mean, we were expecting John to be, lower on time than Jack, but
it's just, what happened there was kind of what I thought could well happen. I didn't think John would just go down not having any chances. Whether the question was going to be whether Jack would take his chances or not. I mean, Jack John. I think John had some very good opportunities in that game. I think he had some great chances. You often get chances against Jack.
Yeah, and for those wondering why I flicked off there, I forgot I was actually sharing my screen on stream, which is why the screen switched then. But yeah, short of time, this is looking bad. But as you say, with Jack giving chances, that should give John a bit of hope going into the second game that he managed to get a good position. Yeah,
actually, he's managed to find a sequence that doesn't lose material. He's played. No! I spoke too soon.
Commentator's curse, right there.
Oh dear. John's not going to be adding you to the Christmas card list, Keith, anytime soon after that comment. But yeah, that is going to be 1-0. But let's go back and just show that sequence there after the knight was on b7 and here when we were saying knight d8 check here.
If you accept the exchange, you have to play king to f5.
So if the king's going f5, then the king to f3, and suddenly you're threatening.
King f3, both e4 mate and g4 mate.
So black's got to play g5. I assume.
G5, and then you go g. Well, I'd probably e4. I'd say e4 check.
King drops
king
back.
g6, and then f5 check. And then rook
So if
e7 check.
yeah, so
But
if
if you
the
go to
king goes to
h6,
the side, then you play
then it's
rook
mate to
h
h1.
That's
mate
rook
to
H1,
h1
yeah.
like that.
If you go to h6, then there's at least knight f7 check, forking the king and rook. But there's probably actually there's better still. After king h6, you go rook h1, king g7, rook e7, then you win
Yeah,
everything, and then rook
yeah.
e7,
So that
king.
was looking good. They have started game two now, which
Yep.
is fine, but that I think covers how devastating that position was.
Yeah,
The other
yeah.
match has not quite started yet. They're still taking a short break, so we can follow this one. And as Tim alluded to, we've got a Dutch.
So the other match is 2-0 at the moment?
Yeah, the
Or...
other game is David Holmes 2-0 up, so Nicky's going to have to pull it out the bag here um, to
And a
secure it.
knight c3 is a very interesting move because positionally it's the wrong square for the knight. Positionally, you want to charge everything towards the e5 square.
Hmm.
So the normal, kind of, yeah, the most common way of playing against this Dutch stonewall is to play kind of knight f3, knight e5, knight d2, and then knight d to f3. Knight c3 is of course a way of playing.
Mm.
Sometimes people play knight c3 in conjunction with h3 and g4 as a pawn sack. I wonder if Jack's got that. No, he's playing positionally, but the knight's a little bit misplaced on
Mm.
c3. I think what Jack's thinking about doing here is securing the e5 square permanently.
Yeah.
You park a knight there, and then if Black does eventually take it off, you've got a defended passed pawn in the middle of the board, which is a big positional trump. So yeah, Jack's. This is the new Jack that I was talking about earlier. The new positional Jack. Who's Jack's looking at the minority attack. Look, Jack's looking at
Yeah.
playing B4 and B5.
Yeah, I
Jack
mean,
knows
Tim,
all about that.
we were talking earlier or last night about when Jack has played white against John, and he's been going for this against the Dutch, this H3 G4 pawn
Yeah,
sacrifice
smash it up. Yeah,
and smash
yeah.
it up,
Yeah,
and has had very good results with that. So
yeah,
I'm slightly surprised that Jack's not gone in for that, given the
yeah.
history these two players have had. I mean, you've crushed me, Tim, when I've played the Dutch against you with H3 G4. We may see it later on, but
Yeah, depending on the scoreline and the and
I,
the
I, I would
the
make a
fast games.
predict. My guess is that Jack knows he can play like that, and he knows that he plays well playing like that.
mm,
And I think that Jack is deliberately playing a different style. This is my guess. I think Jack is just deliberately trying to continue developing his positional understanding, and he's choosing to play this way as a deliberate practical, a deliberate, he's trying to improve as a player. I mean,
mm.
there's no one better than Jack at the H3 G4 stuff, and he's won loads. I mean, Jack's beaten me like that. He's beaten me. He's kind of played prized open king sides. He's got A4 and Rook A2 and Rook across to the G2 square and just doubled up and mated me on the G file before now.
Yeah.
Jack can beat anybody like that, but I really think Jack's deliberately playing in a different way to working on his game, working on rounding his overall um,
Yeah.
ability.
So,
Because you mentioned earlier, Keith, that you've done coaching. You were sort of advising Jack for quite a while. So I mean, how exactly did that work briefly in terms of someone comes and they are sort of super tactical with all these sort of sharp positions. What kind of things did you sort of say to him to sort of encourage him to try out this different style?
I mean, it was what Jack wanted. I mean, it was kind of why he came to me. I mean, it was he wanted to improve his end game play, and there was a positional element to it as well. I mean, positional chess and end games kind of go together in a lot of ways. Stuff like structure is at its most relevant when you're in the end game. Yeah, what Jack really wanted was kind of how you play different kinds of positions, different kind of structures. But when we got into tactical positions, it's kind of like I thought, which one of us is the student? Which one of us is the teacher here? Because Jack was having to wait for me, and he was looking at impatient, like, yes, I've seen all that already. I saw all that in a flash, and yeah, so anything tactical, and I was playing, like something to play catch up. But yeah, it was all about just developing his positional understanding as much as possible in positional end game play, that kind of stuff, but he learned very quickly as well. I mean, it was very impressive. When I think after we'd had about 4 sessions, Jack drew with Jonathan Spielman. He held a very difficult end game against Jonathan Spielman, they were talking afterwards, and I think Jack said, "I've been going to Keith for some lessons," and Spin was like, "Keith, what have you this is your fault." but no, Jack learns quick, and he plays some very nice end games now. I'm very impressed by some of the end games Jack posts. Jack posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I just thought I'd
game.
put this on the board because this is obviously the position here, and if John has played it, and I think this sort of shows John's intentions here that he does not want to go into anything particularly positional. And
F4 is a very good move. F4 is a very nice move. I'm very impressed by F4.
Yeah.
Because if Black doesn't play F4, then White does.
Yeah, White just structurally out trumps Black because this bishop is just stuck, right? But this F4 move frees it up, and
yeah. Now I like Black's position. I don't think Black should be changing queens. Actually, I think Black should be playing. I think this actually eases White's task. I think Black should have been playing to invade to attack F4 with rooks and things, but keep the queens on the board. And then a combination of queens and rooks coming in at the White King would have been a little bit unpleasant. I think now Jack can focus on the kind of the queen side, creating weakness on the queen. He can play. I don't know if A4 at some moments. It's not easy to break through over there. So you need to combine A4 with C4, but you can't play C4 because there's no backup to it. And Jack's a horrible bishop on G2. That's a horrible bishop.
Yeah, so, the other match has begun as well, and they're 5+2. We'll stick with this for now because Jack plays quite quickly. But as you say, it's a tricky position. But if there's anything that goes on in the 5+2 games, I'm sure Tim or myself can jump to it. But it's.
I've been impressed by John. I mean, John's 1-0 down. I've been impressed by the way he's played in the first kind of game and a half. I liked a lot of his moves. He created a situation where he had a real chance in the first game, and I really like the way he's created. He's gained the advantage with Black in this game. I'm impressed by him. Very playing nice chess.
Yeah, John was speaking to us earlier, and he said that his ambitions sort of in chess are to he's the Devon County champion, county captain, and his two goals were to lead us as Devon to a title and to get half a point off of Jack this evening. So
are you guys both playing tomorrow? I mean, I'm playing for the county tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Keith and I are playing for Devon tomorrow. Tim, you've been dropped, I think. Poor performances recently. No.
That's right.
Hang on a minute. If that's really true, we must have an incredibly strong side. If there's no room
it's completely untrue. It's completely untrue.
Yeah, that would be
Tim would be straight into the team.
Yeah, quite near the top, I would imagine. But
that's great. That's great that you're sort of joining the force, though. That's good.
Yeah, we can say that now because I think the pairings have been published, so I'm okay revealing that.
I did. That I wasn't being too completely careless.
This ending looks really uncomfortable for White, doesn't it? It sort of feels like John's played it. John's played it really, really well.
Yeah, he's now he's regained the pawn, and it's the battle of the bishops.
Yeah, this is a very nice position for Black.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point to actually win the game, Black will. Yeah, so Jack's just giving himself the worst bishop ever, but he's saying, how are you going to win the game? Now, to win the game, Black will have to, at some moment, organise C5. And if he mistimes C5, then it can all go wrong.
Tom, the other game might be worth
flipping over,
Yeah.
I mean, this gun could take a little while. So we had another Nimzovich and knight F6 and F4 instead of D4 as in the previous game, and I'm not even going to commentate on these moves. I have no idea.
No.
Let's skip ahead to a bit later on. The pieces coming developed, and then H4, Nikki as White needing a win, certainly going for it. It seems with F4 and H4.
Okay, I like White's position. Well, I like both. Actually, I like White and Black because Black's got a nice E3 square.
Well, something's gone wrong there, I think, recently, because this knight should not be landing on E3. No. Maybe this is just good for Black.
Here, I thought White's got access to e4. Why should we play knight g5 and knight g3 to e4? That's a beautiful square on e4 for White tonight. So somehow that knight ends up back on e2. But yeah, if White played knight g5 here and then knight 3 to e4, then those knights would be absolute monsters.
Well, judging by Tim's reaction, something's happened, so we'll skip forward. So knight e3, the rook's moved, and then the bishop's taken on the queen side, so that's coming through.
Oh, d4's on Prix now.
D4's on Prix. What's going on here? But the e3 knight is on Prix. I'll leave it to you guys. Off you go.
If Black can go a4 very quickly, then he might have a chance.
I don't like swapping off that. That was a really nice knight, and I think Black.
Black's trying to get something on the queen side here for it. I mean,
okay, it's a bit murky. I mean, no, Black's still. Okay.
Remember, Black only needs a draw here. Black does only need a draw to secure the win of the match.
Okay, well, pawn takes b3 might be a draw.
Yeah, I can't get over how fast White's playing in this position. He's
yeah.
He has 3.5 minutes, and the last couple of moves, it seemed like an almost crucial position there. Do you want to play Rook A1 to try and prevent this breakthrough? This is
that's lost. That's
lost now. Yeah,
that's just crushing, isn't it? So where'd you put the king? What happens if you go to B1?
I think you lay it down at this point.
You lay it down. Well, we know Nicky doesn't do that. We know Nicky doesn't lay it down, but it's looking unpleasant. And that.
Well, King B1's just mate, isn't it?
Yeah. So. Yeah.
And Queen C5. Queen C3, Rook A2, and the Queen's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness me, that was 3-0. There's no way back from 3-0.
There is no way back from 3-0. That's even maths I can do. That's.
That's a real shame because White had ways of defending that, and
he's not played Queen C5. He's not played Queen C5.
That's just that's the pressure, isn't it?
It's pressure, yeah. And maybe that's why. I mean, my guess would be that White is much stronger than what we've seen today. I mean, maybe he's a little bit nervous as well. I'm guessing that we're going to see a lot better chess than this from White in future.
Yeah, Nicky. I mean, we were talking about the consistency at the start, but yeah.
I mean, once again, lower on time. Is he saying? I don't know. It sort of felt such a crisp tactic. Queen C5, just immediately. That was game over, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to predict that White is somehow going to win this game.
I'll take that. That'll be great. That'll be great for the drama.
Yeah, that's my. He needs to find King C1. Otherwise, my prediction's down the plug straight away.
He's played King C1. He's played King C1.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. Yeah, it's my prediction.
This would be a hell of a comeback in this position. This would be fantastic.
It's got to be very careful. I mean, like Rook E2 would lose to Queen A1 check, for example. And a C5. Okay,
C5 feels like quite a nice move, actually.
Well, knight C2, you're not going to get checkmate.
No, exactly.
You've got lots of rooks that you can defend D3 with.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking you can start coming in on the B3 square here and just gang up on that now the knight's not defending it.
This is true. This is indeed true. But he hasn't. He's going for the wrong. He's targeting the wrong pawn.
Are you going to curse someone else, Keith, now in the commentator's curse? Keith's gone, nope, you're going to lose. And that's...
Black's definitely going to win this. Absolutely.
No, I'm going to stick with my prediction that White's going to win this game.
Yeah.
I won't waver, however bad it gets.
Wow.
It's based on my psychological appraisal of the situation.
Yeah.
White will win.
I'm just having a quick check of what's going on in the other game, and looks like Black is still doing quite well in that position, but it looks like it's going to be a bit of an endgame grind, so we'll stick with this for now. Try and catch up on it in a little bit.
The key thing in the other game is when it's a break that Black chooses to make. He can either continue this pressure on the king side, which doesn't actually win the game by force, or he can organise C5, which would be the way to win, but you have to do it exactly right, because C5 will also give Jack open line for his rook. So it's a very sophisticated position, but it is.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
positionally winning.
a decision has been made on that, but we'll come back to it in a moment.
Okay.
Gashead with David Holmes down to under a minute here, with only 2 seconds per move being added, and that could be
Of
crucial.
course.
Yeah, no, I feel that White's going to win this.
The more you say it, Keith, I'm not sure it makes it any more true, but
Yeah, I just keep on convincing myself. I'm not biased. I mean,
no,
I'm
of
not on any
course.
particular side. I just want to see a continuation of this exciting chess. I don't
Well,
like
absolutely.
B4 though. B4 doesn't really help White. Oh no dear. I'm not sure White should. Well, White had a very solid position there. I'm not sure White should be playing to win on the Queen side.
Yeah, I mean,
If his
White,
king was on
remember,
H,
does need to win this game, which is tricky.
that's
But now
true.
after you can go Queen C3 here, and then you're looking at Knight
Knight
C6.
Knight C6 is as long as the knight gets out, which I think it does do.
Yeah.
Then you can try and win an equal endgame, which is about the best chance he's had all game. Just trying
Yeah,
to win it.
yeah,
Yeah, he's thinking about it clearly.
yeah. This would be a hell of a comeback from White
Wow.
if Nicky can win this game and then take it to playoffs at 2-2. That would be very.
What is going on here?
But you're still looking at Knight C6, and the time is the scary thing for me. Is that Black is sinking time here, and that's going to be the crucial factor.
I quite like Queen C. It's kind of non-threatening, isn't it? And you're saying to Black, what are you?
Well, Knight C6 forces the rook
Yep.
a bit passive.
Well, there's Knight C6.
Oh, actually, according to the bar, it wasn't the best move.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the bar was looking to do. Maybe it was to look to.
Can you take on D3?
Actually, Queen D7 may have been the move. Queen D7. Queen C6.
Queen C6
Instead
maybe.
of Knight
Yeah.
C6, Queen C6 may have been the move.
Was Tim? I think you mentioned it was Rook takes D3 a move to take on
deflect,
C6 because again White, Black only needs a draw.
Draw. No, come on, Black.
Can't take the draw. Can't take the draw, Nicky.
Can't take the draw. It's not good enough.
Nicky cannot take the draw as White. He must find a move. He's playing King E3, trying to do something.
That's a nice try.
Not a bad move. Not a bad move.
Yeah.
And time is the big factor here.
I could just take that. Queen takes C5.
Yeah.
On 3.
The knight is defending D3.
Nice.
White's going to win.
Thanks for the follow, Panda.
This is upsetting. Where's the rook? I mean, this is upsetting. Where is the rook going?
Queen C5 and wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take the pawn.
He'll find it. He'll find it.
He'll see that, but it's what David's going to do as Black after this. To try and come back with only 5 seconds on his clock. I feel a bit bad that we've had to leave an ending which John is also short of time in that game. No, he's just dropped the beat. What's happened here?
I know he's won. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened there? Like
we'll have to look. We'll have to just. He's lost.
And White's won on time.
Anyway,
White's won on time. What happened there? So C5 he didn't take. He played Rook F2.
Yep.
And
allowing Rook takes B4.
Yeah, Rook takes B4 just wins, right? But C takes and you lose the Rook on D4. Both players going, yikes, oh dear. That's not good. Nicky back in this match. It's 2-1. Wow. Keith, you were right. That's why you're a Grandmaster and Tim and I are mere mortals. You know what's going to happen in every game.
No, I have to be a psychologist, not a chess player. I mean, chess-wise, it was impossible to predict. But...
Well, David Holmes may need a psychologist to get him back. Right. 2-1 up still. He's still got another game, but to come back, let's jump straight to the other match here between Jack and John Underwood, where...
Can we go back and see how they...
Well, we can. Jack has won the game. We will see how that has happened in a second.
Wow.
Just going to let them know to have a small break.
At the wrong moment, in the wrong way.
Well, let's take a look. We missed a lot of opportunities.
Like yes. I mean, I was saying before that C5 is a winning plan, but you have to time it right. You have to time.
Yeah.
You have to be able to take back with a rook, not a pawn. You don't want to take back with a pawn because you let Black's rooks get into the game. So C5 is missed time. You play Rook C7 and then C5.
Interestingly, Jack didn't take on C5 and played here, and then the pawns got traded on D4.
Okay, oh, now black should play rook c7. Black should play rook c7, and it's very, very. Is it black to play? So it's black to play in this
It's
position.
black to play in this position. I think black's got black's kept his advantage here, right?
Oh, this is live, right?
No, this is finished. This game has finished.
Oh no, yeah,
Jack has won the game. I'm
Jack
just going
winning
to
with the
double
queen.
check. I'm just going to let the other players know to start their game whenever, because we were watching that one. But let's jump back now to this end game. So Black's played rook c7 to take over the c file. Yeah, feel free to talk through the moves, Tim and Keith.
Okay, so black's done everything right. It was all about to actually win a go. I was saying before, you have to play c5 at some moment, and he's played it, at the right moment, and he's got a very, very nice position. And now you don't want to play g4. You want to hold all that, and then move the king over to the queen side, and then slowly play b5, a5, b4, and you should be able to. Black should be able to win by force with. Oh, he's played it, king f7. So he's played everything right so far. I should take that surprise tone out of my of what I've seen.
Us
Yeah,
mere
John,
mortals can do some
John
things, Keith.
He's a very good player.
John's actually saying in the comments, imagine the commentary's not going to be very kind about my play under time pressure.
Oh.
I think
Sorry, that's
okay.
that's annoying that the that's quite frustrating that that game has now disappeared. And I'm not sure I'm able to get that back, unfortunately. So I'll see if I can get that on another screen and bring it over. But for now, we'll keep watching this fourth game in this blitz match, and I'll let you talk it through. And we're having a repeat of the opening.
It's the same nonsense.
Still
again.
not playing bishop takes f3. Excuse me.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's strange that he wants to preserve that horrible bishop. Why would you want to preserve that bishop on g6 against that knight on e5 when you can take it off on f3? I don't understand. I don't understand it. Unless this is some theory that I don't know about. I mean, maybe black can withstand this h4 idea, but I'm very surprised. I'll be amazed if this is a theoretical position.
I mean, does theory exist for this sort of opening? I don't know.
I mean, the evaluation bar hasn't gone mad, but it feels like the kind of theory that you really need to know if you're going to go down this kind of thing. Because like Keith says, there will probably be some quite unnatural moves that hang on somehow.
Maybe bishop b4 is one of them. Maybe bishop b4.
That's what Jack was saying in the chat before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, bishop b4 because you're fighting for the e4 square. But I had a game in the real 4NCL before the lockdown. In January against Sophie Millet, the French international master and woman grandmaster, and I had a very similar position. I had to find moves like bishop b4 to save my bishop, and I just about managed it. But yeah, he's playing the same.
Wow.
He's playing the same stuff, and this is just bad for black. Bishop b4 must have been the move, though. You have to fight for the e4 square. Yeah. So now black just in the same trouble again. Well, maybe he'll find queen e2 this time. I mean, queen e2. I think he has to do a direct assault against e6. Queen e2 with the idea. Yeah, he's found it. He obviously hasn't had time to prepare, so maybe he's remembered. He's remembered his.
Tom, I think we're showing the. We're going trying to bring up the other game.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bring up the other game at the moment. We're keeping with this at the moment. It's possible that jumped on for a couple of moments. Sorry if that appeared, but yeah, I'm just trying to get the other game up to try and do it. But yeah, remember white is 2-0 up, and so Nikki needs to win this as black, and yeah, let's say repeating the same thing, possibly not the best idea.
Queen d3.
Yes.
No. Why doesn't he just assault d7? Sorry, e6 with everything. Why doesn't he go bishop h3, and then black's got to do some ugly moves like king e7 or king d7? I'm slightly confused by not.
I don't understand queen e2 then queen d3. It makes
sense. Obsessed with this queen. If he's letting that knight go to f5 again, I mean, there was a direct
same. Yeah, it's okay. Same position. It's tempo down.
He's coming after, maybe I've spoken too soon. Well, he's going to put the knight on c5, and black's going to have trouble defending b7 and e6. No knight c5. Knight c5 is a difficult position for black.
Wow.
Oh, it's castles. Oh, bishop f4. Bishop f4.
That's looking pretty nasty, bishop f4.
Forces e5. Then you can retreat with the bishop. Or even go pawn takes e5, followed by queen c3. Oh dear. Oh dear. I don't like black at all here.
Yeah,
Oh,
black needs to win
oh,
this.
oh.
I mean, you called it last time that you thought Nikki was going to win from a horrible position. Can you see how Nikki can wriggle his way out of this one?
Okay, I can't see how, but
Well, good. That's great.
but
Thanks for watching,
but
everyone. No.
I mean, I can't. I mean, there is no way of saving this, but I can't predict what moves. I can't predict what moves we'll see on the board. But I mean, objectively, I just think black's
So after e5, you're suggesting
I
white
just
just
want.
drops back or take it, or
I think both are good. I mean,
yeah.
if I think there may be a tactical win with pawn take. Yeah, pawn takes, and if knight takes queen c3, and you can't defend the knight. You haven't all the normal moves that would defend that knight are missing.
Mm,
So yeah, he's just had to go there. And
just have to castle instead.
now let's look at e6 for starters.
Oh, wow.
E6 hits
He's
the queen and the knight, so knight e5 is then forced. Oh, okay, no, it's just okay.
Ah,
That's another way of doing it. This is
yeah.
absolute curtains. This is
wow.
this is curtains.
But it
So,
just it feels wrong to have just repeated this opening as black.
yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah,
he's had in previous games against David Holmes much nicer positions out of this
yeah,
opening, and
yeah.
he's just today
Yeah.
has clearly either prepared this or
You know
something.
what?
It's just not worked out.
He reminds me of myself as a junior. It's like I would get into such a mess in some games out of the opening that I couldn't show what I was capable of showing because some positions you can't. Doesn't matter how good black is. It's just like as a player, doesn't matter how talented he is, how strong he is. It's just nothing you can do. You've just got yourself into such a mess in the opening, and
Mm,
and eventually I learned that you have to, if you don't want to learn theory, you have to at least play sound openings, and it's kind of like he's giving himself no chance because he's played such a horrible opening.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I was the same. I mean, he's probably. I mean, I would say that he's very, very likely to be a highly talented player because to play this kind of crazy chess, you have to be talented. Otherwise, what are you doing this?
Yeah.
You believe in your talent. So in the long run, I think
You know
he'll
what?
be.
I don't think White's found the most accurate way
Oh, he could
to
have
go
played
out.
knight e5 there, right? Which would
There
have
was
discovered
a
an
chance.
attack on
There was a
d3.
weird. Yeah, there was an opportunity to wriggle out there because there was a knight g4 check as well. Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
way to wriggle out there, but
Isn't
that moment
this?
has gone. That
Yeah,
moment
this is
has
now
gone.
going a full rook down rather than just being
Yeah,
an
the moment has
exchange,
gone.
which is tricky. Um,
Yeah, we're just not seeing. We're not seeing what
It was his game
what
over.
Nicky. We're not seeing what Nicky's capable of in this match. But I'm prepared to predict he'll become very strong. In time.
yeah, no, I mean he's shown it throughout this Grand Prix, which is
Yeah,
a culmination of 8 weeks of hard work for these players, and
yeah,
I mean Nicky finished seventh overall, David eighth. This is the graded section,
yeah,
and I mean the fact that they made it into these finals over such a long period of time, I mean, and then winning their semi-finals as well. I mean, they're clearly both very talented players, and
yeah,
especially Nicky, only just going to university. It's yeah, he is very strong,
yeah.
but we've just not quite seen it
We
fully
haven't seen it
today.
here. Yeah,
Mm,
that's the impression that I get. Like he just hasn't on the day he hasn't shown what he's capable of. But I can tell. I kind of again it's understanding psychology. I know that players who play this kind of way, I know how talented they are,
yeah,
and I know that on another day I can imagine the kind of fireworks he could unleash. But this is just he's just having one of those days.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think he described it earlier, saying that a few years ago he was quite positional in his play, solid and positional,
Mm.
and he sort of ends up finding that quite boring, and is now more of a barbarian, as he puts it.
it's
And
the
so
opposite.
I think as a result of that, he gets these amazing wins, but but also, you live by the sword, die by the sword, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah, actually, he's the opposite of Jack, because Jack started off like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Positional.
Yeah.
I mean, how can Black try and swindle this? Like it's sort of Black obviously needing to get a win, being a rook down. It's obviously very very difficult because White's just going to try and trade everything off and win the game. But how can Black actually try and construct something on the
Keep
king
the rook
side?
on the board. Try and bring the queen onto the a7 to g1 diagonal. Try and somehow get the rook attacking h4, so you can do some kind of queen a7 check and rook h4 check. You need to keep all the pieces on. That's for sure. You absolutely need to keep the queen on, obviously. But yeah, just keep the queen hanging around. Try and get a check on that long diagonal, and then maybe a perpetual where we check on c5 and then check on another black square. But yeah, keep everything on. He's doing the right thing, keeping everything on the board. And the white king is a little bit soft.
I guess the issues are the rooks are just both going to invade now, and I don't know whether that's going to be game over for white rooks.
Yeah, possibly.
Because black hasn't got any immediate tactics. So I'm just thinking of check on the back rank, bring the other rook down, and is it black's king that's in trouble?
Yeah.
I think black's best chance is for white not to move for 40 seconds.
Well, this is the other thing is that David has been the one that's been short of time for a long portions of this match, and this game here, Nicky has slowed down, but that might just have been because he went into this opening that just got into a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Here we see the rooks infiltrating, as Tim was saying.
Yeah, this is softening up the black king. That's another good move. Now, soon the rooks are all going to come off. Okay, he just has to watch knight f3 check. Don't get too carried away.
Yep.
Okay, so knight check doesn't lead anywhere now. She's getting very near the end.
This is not looking pleasant. Just king h1 here.
King h1. Then queen h2.
Queen h2, mate.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a slightly annoying check.
This is why I'm hosting and shouldn't be talking about the chess. I'll go, shall I?
When you think you won the game, this is, and you've got 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
These are the kind of moments. I mean, he's kept the pieces on the board and he's got this little chance now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrong squares here.
I found one.
Wow.
See, this is scary, putting the king on with the discovery, but you've that's why I wanted to play it to h1, but there we are. There was the chance. That was the
moment.
I'm just going to quickly open up Jack against John because they have started their blitz game. We'll jump back to that in a moment. We'll see the conclusion of this one.
I think that's going to. Oh, see. Yeah, I think this is going to end any minute. It's going to end one way or the other.
It looks like it with the.
I mean, knight d4 check is the best try because then after king e1 you got the fork.
Yeah.
Yep.
So king g2 is the only winning move because king g1 is repeating, and there's no other move. So yeah, knight d4 check is a good punt.
Yeah, I think you're right. 20 seconds to go. It's going to be.
Wow.
It's been a really good match, this actually. Like, I mean, David. I mean, I was expecting this to be quite close, and David has really taken control of this match.
Well, there's not many prospects going there. King e2, and that's King e2 or g2. The thing about knight g4 is there was only one king move, but here there were two king moves. Okay, now he'll lose on time or resign. Okay, well, just rook b8 does it.
Yep. Now the queen's going to have to sacrifice itself.
And the rook goes at the end, and
or at least the knight, but obviously the rook is better here.
And the rook out, we'll have them both.
and that is that. So congratulations to.
They still play the fourth game.
That was the fourth game, and David Holmes won that 3-1. So many congratulations to David there. Quite a very very good performance, I think, from David. Nicky, having those openings as black, it just didn't quite work out for him. I think how he's responded against the Black Mardimo was probably his downfall there. But I mean, credit to him for making it to the finals anyway and coming second. Exactly. Yeah, it's a fantastic.
Exactly. Well done both players. And today, well done, David, on playing some very good chess.
Yeah, it's absolutely great performance. You won't be able to see this, Keith, but we've got a nice trophy up on the stream here for David Holmes. We can't give it to him in person, not just because he's all the way in Southampton, but also because obviously social distancing. So we've got a virtual trophy for him there. Very, very good performance. And we do still have a match going on, remember, with Jack and John. I've not updated the scores for that. It is 2-0 to Jack, rather than 1-0. And we've reached this position. Sorry we haven't been able to have a look at that end game and where it all went wrong, but we'll catch up with that after the conclusion of the match, because I want to see where John's advantage slipped. But
I'd say that everything that we saw on the board, I think I really admired John's play. I think John played a very good game, very good game from move 1 right up to the last thing we saw. He played c5, he timed it well, he put his rook on the c line, and he was all ready to move. And the first move we saw was the king f7. He was ready to move his king over to the queen side to support the 2v1. I think everything that we saw was he was doing it well. But of course, Jack is Jack, and Jack is very resourceful, and Jack obviously turned it around a big time at some moments.
Yeah, well, by the looks of it, it was the time trouble that cost John in the end. Again, I don't know about you, Tim. This is looking very good for White again.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, e5 wouldn't exchange, but he wants more than that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, John has really put up a fight today. 2-0 doesn't.
That's losing.
Well, that's
knight
losing.
d5. Well, knight d5 just wins.
Knight d5. Yeah.
Knight d5 wins.
What's Jack doing? Jack.
Is he trying to make it interesting? Oh, he's not played it. No.
Oh no. If this was Jack against Gormley or Jack against me or Jack against, Jack would just bang. He'd just play knight. No, Jack just would not allow knight d5. He would not allow it. And this is what I meant about if you're the underdog, you want to play someone like Jack because Jack will always give you chances. But if you're the favourite, you don't want to play Jack because Jack will mix it and it can work against you when somebody mixes it. So, I think that we've had many proofs of that during this match. I mean, John's had great chances. He's had great chances.
Yeah, he's really, put up a really good showing. Just to quickly show that on stream because it went fairly quickly. Knight back to d7. The knight can go to d5, hitting the c7 queen and the e7 bishop. So that's winning a piece. There's no way to defend both of them.
It'd be rude not to resign after knight d5.
It would be. As it is, it's been missed, and the knight's now gone to e6, and we've got a game again.
Yeah, it's more than just a game. I think Jack's just got to flood in on the black squares now.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And now we see a very bad bishop on g2.
And remember, Jack can just take a draw here. Knowing Jack, he probably won't, and he'll want to get 4-0, as in the scoreline in the semi-finals. Sorry to bring that up, Tim.
All right.
Sorry.
Good company. I mean, John's obviously a very good player, and he's looking like it's not looking good. No,
was that a slight Tim there saying Tim's not a very good player? And he's just in good company with the good players. Bit harsh on your co-commentator. I mean, true, but we won't.
I don't even need to correct that because Tim knows and you know, and I know that Tim's a very good player.
Well, I don't want to bring it up, but Tim did beat me 3.5 in the quarterfinals. So if Tim's not a good player, I don't know what that makes me. But but whilst we've been babbling, it's
also but that shows like the gap in like Jack is absolutely demolished me. He's John's had a lot of chances here, but it looks as if he's going to be winning the match. He's been like a step above, hasn't he?
I'm going to say that if you reran your match against Jack, and I'm saying this as a big fan of Jack, if you reran your match, then I would expect you to have some chances, a number of chances. I think that's just the way that's the nature of the Jack. Jack can play brilliantly, but there are gaps, and there are chances.
And it feels like to me that White's actually got some good chances in this position. Like, it's a little bit tricky for Black. I mean, this d pawn's going to provide some good counterplay, but back rank and this pin here. I mean, it's very double edged. This.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Yeah, there's a lot of the back rank could be very important. That back rank and the fact that every move's important now, and Black's not going to. It's not going to be easy for Jack to find a moment to sort out that back rank problem. there's not going to be a clear moment. Okay, he's done it.
He's done it here, but I mean, White
but,
could still go f6 and stop all that should he want.
Yeah,
like.
he can go f6. He can also just go rook takes d4.
Yeah.
And that's a very okay. F6 is. I
like
understand the temptation. I understand the temptation.
But this pawn's now starting to.
Oh no, that's not a great move, but okay, yeah. Now the c pawns.
The c pawn's going, but it is opposite coloured bishops, so.
Yeah. Jack will. Oh, that's very. Okay. I was going to say rook c3, but
But the bishop's covering it. Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
No, I saw that, but then c7. Then the idea
is.
You got check.
But it's check. Yeah,
but
check.
Yeah.
I saw the first move of that sequence, but not the second.
I hadn't. I was just going, oh, it's defended. That's my level.
Well, now White should go rook d7 and bishop d5 and break through on f7.
Yeah, and it looks like John's trying to do that.
Yeah, and now bishop d5. And Black's on the defensive. Black will have to defend some unpleasant situation and pawn down. But White's got 7 seconds left.
Exactly. Only 2 seconds per move.
He must play bishop d5 instantly. You cannot think about that move.
Yeah.
And rook f7 instantly.
It's just got to play a bit quicker here.
You have to do it instantly. And then h4 instantly.
Unless White goes king g5.
Okay, look, there you don't go h4. You go bishop back to e4.
Yeah.
And then h4.
Oh, and he's lost on time.
He had to move instantly, yeah.
Had to move quicker, so...
But fair play to him. He's lost on time in a position where he's not worse.
No, exactly. I mean, all 3 of the games, he's been better.
Yeah. And he's better here. I mean, like, Black can't play... I mean, if White goes bishop e4, for example, here, then he's threatening h4. Or bishop f3 is the move. If you put on the board bishop f3, now if Black plays... I'll show you what happened. If Black plays rook takes a5, then you go h4.
Oh, right? They've started their 4th game. They didn't wait, but that's
okay. Imagine you play h4 there, and you're threatening g5 mate.
Yep.
If Black defends against it with g5, then you go h5, threatening bishop e4 and rook h7 mate. And that's White's got a mating attack in that position.
Yeah. Well, I'll
board,
just put on the. It is 3-0 to Jack, so they are playing out their final game, the dead rubber. But I am going to put up the virtual trophy for Jack as well, which we didn't do. It feels a little bit anticlimactic with a loss on time in a very tight position. But congratulations to Jack. I mean, it's another close match, 3-0, not at all. Displaying the true nature of that match.
You've got to give it to Jack. Jack's got an ECF rapid play grade of about 300 or something.
It's 251. It's like number 10 in the country or in the world or something. It's ridiculous.
And he does it by he just plays in all his local competitions. He wins almost every game. He just wins over and over again every season.
Yeah.
Every game. And end of the day, he gets the result. He gets the results. He gets the last blow in every time. And,
absolutely.
He saves these when he gets these dubious positions, and he still turns these games around.
What's really interesting actually is Jack said that his favourite time control actually isn't rapid. It's 7-hour sessions.
Oh, absolutely.
And all 3 of his, even in those matches he plays really, really quickly. All of his IM norms came from that.
Well, I understand that because his opponents are agonising, and Jack's just strolling around looking at the other game.
Yeah. You can lose yourself in your own head, can't you? Because you're thinking for so much on your own time. Yeah.
I mean, I'm playing Jack in Blitz tournaments.
As we see here, just White just sacking everything and just
Queen H6.
Queen H6.
This is going all in for mate. It's going all in for mate. But playing Jack in Blitz tournaments is quite relaxing because you just move quickly as well, and it's his move as often as your move, and in a way Jack loses some of his the speed advantages. He loses some of that.
Maybe relaxing to you, Keith. I'm not sure to us it's very relaxing having played in the Grand Prix against him. We have had a question in from the chat. What is our favourite styles of chess to watch? And also like styles of chess to play as well, I think is probably an extension to that. Keith, you're renowned as an endgame guru and more positional, but in terms of watching chess, what do you prefer seeing? Do you prefer all these tactics or just a positional grind?
No, I like a hack because me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
yeah, for entertainment-wise, it's I just want to see somebody's. Oh, he's got to go. What's he going to do now? He's going to go 90.
He's going to resign.
Oh,
He's
he
going.
resigned. Well, he's got King H8.
He's got
Okay,
yeah, but King
he's winning.
H8 and
He's winning. He's winning. There'll be some way through there.
yeah. I'm just
Let me
thinking.
try and
Oh no, not quite.
predict what it would be. E5 maybe. I mean, it's winning. I mean, E5 looks like there's a lot of moves.
Yeah.
Knight
It's
E7
just going
looks
to break
interesting.
through.
Knight F3 looks interesting. Rook H5 check's not quite so good because there'll be a queen H7. Rook F5. That may be the.
That's
Rook
what I was
F5.
about to say. Is it Rook F5?
Yeah, that's a great move.
But then I'm thinking is Knight takes F5. You can't take
Queen takes G4. So Rook F5, Knight F5, Queen G4.
That's nice. You can't take because the pawn is
now
pinned.
you're playing Rook H5, mate. So yeah, it's a nice interference move. Rook F5 it interferes with the Queen's defense of the bishop on G4.
Yeah, that's really nice. John's
yes,
made a very funny comment in the chat here. Tried not to get into time trouble, but got into chess trouble instead. Well, John, if you watch this, you definitely played your part in this match. I think the time trouble possibly did become the downfall, but definitely had chances in obviously this last game, which unfortunately just didn't quite go the way.
I was a fan of your chess, John. I was a big fan of your chess in this match. I thought you played some nice chess.
Some very nice chess indeed.
Practical stuff went against you in the end, but I thought you played some nice, accurate play. You had to play the right. You treated the positions correctly, how they should be played. And it's good match.
Yeah, I mean we've had two very good matches. I mean 4-0 is. Oh, I think we might slightly be losing Keith there. Just as the match ends, the chess gods decide to cut the Grandmaster out. It's like, right, his job is done, the commentary's done, we can get rid of him now. It looks like
I can just hear Keith.
Yeah, it looks like we've just about got him back now, which is good, and you as well, Tim. So
I did have one random question come in as it was sort of the match is finished. But a question for Keith. What's been your most surreal chess playing experience?
Goodness me, that's putting me on the spot. Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, I was playing Grandmaster tournament in London. It was called the Watson Farley Williams tournament. It was in 1991. There were three of them. I think this was the 1991 version, or maybe the 1990 version. Anyway, the three tournaments in consecutive years around that time. And I was playing the American champion at that time, called Michael Wilder, and now we're playing in the offices of the solicitors in London offices, and the sun was starting to beam in through the window, and an hour or so, or 45 minutes into the game, so much that, I mean, we've all experienced it. You can't see the board anymore. The sun's reflecting so badly that you can't see the board, and you either draw the curtains or you do something else. There were no curtains to draw, so after on about move 12, move 13, we had to relocate. So we noted down a position. We relocated to another room somewhere, or a different part of the room, and carried on the game. And it was quite a dull game, which ended in a draw. And we had a post-mortem. Nothing was amiss. We had a perfectly good post-mortem. And then, but then the next day, Byron Jacobs approached us, and he said, "I don't understand your game. It doesn't make sense. You didn't play a legal game of chess." And what had happened is we had put a pawn which was on H3 back to H2, and we didn't set up the position right, so we just carried on from the wrong position. And the amazing thing was that we managed to complete a post-mortem without noticing that we've done this.
The funny thing is, Keith, is that I've actually had a very similar experience where I sort of, in a league match where I knocked a pawn off the board, put it back on the square, went through the whole game afterwards, didn't notice, went through the rest of the game, and we'd put it on the wrong square. I've had something very similar to that.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, did you have a post-mortem and not notice it?
Yep, yeah, we did, yeah.
we have a I was just going to say, we have a quick comment from Jack in the channel saying, "I think I was a bit lucky in that match."
Yeah.
No, I don't use the word luck because Jack, you do it too often. You do it too often for it to be described as luck.
It's true.
No, it's that R word. It's this resourcefulness. Jack's a very resourceful player.
Or is
So
that the polite way of putting it? I'm not
that's
sure.
a polite way of putting it.
We did say we'd have a look back at this endgame and see, because we missed quite a lot of it. So I've managed to put that up on the screen. It looks like that's coming through on the stream as well, which is good. So we had a look at
this game 2 or
this
no,
was
game
this
3?
was game 2. This was the end game, which we were saying John was better in, and had some time as well, 3 minutes to 7 to try and get through. So this was game 2 where Jack was 1-0 up, and this was probably a massive turning point in the match, I think. And I think
C7 very good move. Rook C4 is a very good move,
Mm.
and the last move we saw, King F7, was also a very good move.
Yeah.
And now the idea is to King E7 now. The
King
idea
E7,
is to
yeah.
just get the pieces over there, and then start moving that 2v1
Yeah.
that majority up the board slowly and carefully, and without giving white counterplay.
I mean, we've not quite got the alignment on the screen because I've sort of set it up for the live matches, but hopefully this is good enough for the viewers. So we go King E3 here.
Okay. Now there's a threat from a kind of semi-threat, and that semi-threat is Bishop F1, and follow, and the Rook will have to either go passive on the C line or sidestep, in which case White can start taking over the C file.
Yeah.
So King E3 is quite a clever move. So
Yeah.
that needs to take some action against
which Black did and
Which
played
played
Rook
check,
C3.
which is a good move. Yeah.
The Rook blocked and Rook
There's
C2.
There's a small danger here of that Rook on F4 being left offside because it's not doing anything anymore. That Rook on F4 needs to come round very quickly to the C file.
Yeah, do something like this, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
White's seemingly quite happy with the draw here, which I think is fair enough.
Now you can play Rook C4 and there's no Bishop F1 because it's not attacking the Rook. So now you've got time to play Rook C4, and that buys you time to play Rook F8 because you really do need that Rook in the game as well. It's not in the game at all on F4 anymore. The whole focus has shifted to the Queen side. So yeah, Rook. I like Rook. I like Rook C4. So,
I mean, Black instead went Rook C7. I'm not sure if Black is perhaps wondering after Rook C4, maybe White can go Rook A3 and try and get some counterplay on the Queen side.
No, you're right. That also threatens Bishop F1. So okay, we'll stick with Rook C7.
Yeah, absolutely. And White's
now Rook F8.
Yeah, Black decided to actually play the Rook to H4 and try and go get the Rook in this way.
There's nothing happening over there. I think that's the wrong direction. Maybe King G3. I'll put that Rook back.
Yeah.
I want to put that Rook back. I want to bring that. On the surface, it looks like that Rook's doing an attacking job, but it's not. It's on the wrong part of the board. It needs to be. I mean, the ideal setup here is to go Rook F4, H4 check to fix all the weaknesses, then bring the Rook to F8, then bring the Rook to C8, or even and then start very carefully to move those 2v1 down the board.
Yeah. So White does play the Bishop to F1 as you were saying, and then Black plays the Rook down to C1. So it's almost been a sort of dance of these Rooks that are dancing back and forth, and this Rook is not getting through here.
No, I want that Rook in the game. I don't want it on H4. I want it on C8.
It's strange though, because I mean White does seem extremely tied down here. Just kind of, to my eyes, if I was White, I'd be thinking, well, how do I actually get active here? Because Black can, keep attacking D4 and or H3, and it just feels very very tied down at the moment.
I'm thinking about the fact Black has to win the game, and I'm thinking that White can keep on challenging that Rook. White can go Rook D1, just keep challenging that Rook, drive it away somewhere, and
is that what happens then?
Yeah, so Rook D1 happens, and then Black drops the Rook back to C4 in the line of this Bishop, which is interesting. But I mean, it's only 1-0 to Jack, so John could take a draw, but he probably thinks that if he's going to do anything in this match, he probably needs to win this and take it to Blitz 1-1, I would suspect.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of a dance, and in that time, Black's not made huge amounts of progress, whereas White's put his Bishop on F1 and Black's put his Rook on H4, and that's pretty much all that's happened in this position.
I think even here, Rook F4 is the best move. I think you must bring that Rook into the game.
It's definitely the idea. I mean, it's White's move here, and White goes Rook A3, so going against the Queen side, and then Black drops back Rook C7. Obviously, this Rook is under attack.
Yeah, rook
And so
d4.
you're saying that Black's plan should be sort of rook f4, rook back,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah. Yeah, that rook will be. That rook is not. It's bad on h4. It's bad on f4. But on c8, it's very good. On c8, it's very good. It's really getting into the heart of White's position from c8 in a way that it can't properly do. Paradoxically, I mean, on the surface, I mean, it does look like it's attacking weaknesses there, but it's in a kind of. I don't know if you get. It's like it's kind of in a blind alley. It's a blind alley. It's got no support. It's not. It can't force anything from h4 or f4. It needs. You need like 2 or 3 bishops on that diagonal, or like, you need lots of other stuff around there if you're going to break through. Otherwise, that rook's just wasted. It's just not. It can be at some moment White can just bail out, leave that rook and just do some combination on the other part of the board, and leave that rook to its own devices.
Yeah. So I mean that's probably worth saying. If Black's rook was on c8 right now, instead of h4, I mean White essentially has no way of challenging this pair of rooks, right? I mean it's just it's essentially winning. Pretty much on the spot, isn't it?
It's positionally it's very good. I mean, you go h4 check to tie the bishop down to defending the h pawn. You go h4 check, and then you slowly move. You're ready to slowly move those pawns down, up the board. I mean, it's going to take time.
Yeah,
it's not trivial, but
it's a very Keith position. This, if I'm being honest, it seems very suited for you. Just to, I mean, it's really interesting just hearing you talk about sort of the plan of how to just go about winning this, and it becomes almost like it's intuitive of how to do it. Whereas I'd be looking as Black here, thinking, well, I know I must be better, but how on earth do I do it? Especially with only a minute on the clock, and I think that's one of the things is that John spent a couple of minutes here reaching, well, not really achieving huge amounts of progress. It's interesting. Just to quickly skip through, so the rook came here, and the rook did go to f4.
Computer saying there's a win here.
I'll hide the engine for now to see if we can find it.
Well, maybe it's rook c2 with the idea of rook f4 and h4 mate.
So something like rook c2. Yep, the computer likes it. I think you've got it, Keith.
It's a mating attack. So actually,
that's come from nowhere.
That's come from nowhere. Yeah. Well, this particular line justifies keeping the rook in the other rook over.
Yeah.
So what's the line then? Rook a7, and you just.
So rook a7. Then where are we going with the king?
I'm wondering if I can even block with the bishop. I may have time to block with the bishop. Let me think.
It's really nice. It's a really nice finish.
Okay, I'll move the king. I'll move the king anyway. It doesn't matter. King d8.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I was wrong.
I'm guessing
I know why I'm wrong, because the 2 rooks can come into an attack. Okay, let's go bishop d7 then. That's the natural one.
Okay. Then.
It's not.
Is e6 going to be just about holding here? Because obviously Black's threat. If rook a7 wasn't played, let's say White played rook a6, for example, and not checking, then Black has rook takes h3.
No. Oh, is that why?
Followed by h4.
Wow.
Yeah, two different plates. Yeah, it's not just rook f4.
It's not just rook f4. Yeah, I thought. I mean, I can't say I came up with that. Jack did put that in the chat. I'm afraid. Yeah. I am cheating, but that's obviously a really nice checkmate. So the fact that this is check gives a little bit of play. But I'm guessing the Black king can hide.
So, I'm just wondering what was wrong with King D8. Why King D8 didn't do it, because the line went straight up there, didn't it? So
rook H7.
Rook H7.
Okay, so that stops. Okay, yeah, that's something. Okay, okay, now I understand. So
that's nice. The idea being here,
the
just
king,
just
the
to
move is
say
King F8. The move is King F8. I can see it there.
Takes there.
Yeah.
Just to show that on the screen for people. So so instead of that, where did we go? Rook takes A7.
King F8, and you'll trap that rook. If that rook goes to H7, you'll just squeeze it. King G8.
Yeah.
Oh, so again,
because after rook H6, you're hitting the bishop on.
Oh goodness! So,
this is a hard position. It's the computer.
Okay, now I get it. Bishop F5.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go.
This isn't trivial stuff when you're just.
No.
It's not trivial stuff, but
It's not trivial at all.
It's a bit of a fluke. I mean, like the pieces are on the right squares for it to work. In a way, it's kind of computer stuff, isn't it? It's engine
exactly. Stuff. I mean, if John saw this in a minute and a half, then quite frankly, might even give him the trophy at that point.
Give them both a trophy.
Yeah, exactly. As it happened in the game, Black did try and get his rook back round, but it wasn't quite quick enough because now White's challenging this c-file, and rooks exchange, and whilst Black is able to stop it, it feels like some of Black's activity that he had on the c-file has just gone, and it's going to be.
But for White to actually win, still requires some, pretty impressive. I mean, how does to actually White to break through here? Okay, rook there, I get that. Yeah. So then King D7, then Bishop B5, I guess.
Yeah, Bishop B5. Yeah. And so then A6, which I think is
check, and then Bishop takes A6, and it's all going pear-shaped.
So White didn't take on A6 here.
Bishop E8. Goodness.
When Bishop E8, is that a worry about H?
I guess Bishop H6, rook takes D4.
Oh, you've got the D4 pawn, haven't you? That's the reason.
Bishop E8. Maybe that's
H4, and then
the computer doesn't like Bishop E8, so I think the computer probably does want Bishop A6.
Yeah, I mean, so Jack has just put in the chat that Bishop takes A6. He thought he was getting mated after Rook takes D4, in some sort of mating net.
I see, and then King F2, Bishop H3, and then we've got some weird race.
Yeah, I suppose if the king runs away, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the computer says about this. It's saying, Jack is saying he was playing for a win with Bishop E8 to try and do that. I mean, it worked, Jack. It worked in the end.
It's a great punt. It's a good punt. I love Bishop E8.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares about the A6 pawn? We want to attack the bits of the board that matter.
Yeah. So H4 was played, king drops, and then the D pawn drops. So.
Okay, I'll say the game, but the game just goes on.
But so the game continues, and if I'll skip through and see. I mean, Black is obviously a pawn up here, 2 pawns up rather, but
Black's doing well now.
But the king's getting into.
I bet the king comes in. King C5.
The king is coming in.
Oh, this is a mating attack now.
And then some sort of mating attack.
In practice, I mean, in theory, it shouldn't be, but in practice, this is getting very awkward.
Yeah. So I mean, it's amazing to think that sort of back here, like after winning the D pawn, that all of a sudden White's king's going to come in. I mean, it's hard to envisage that's going to happen. I don't know what. I mean, in practical terms, I mean, it's when in time trouble, I suppose anything can happen.
Yeah, you can't predict that because it depends on Black doing certain things.
Especially leaving these pawns here. I mean, I think playing this as either side is a bit scary. Like, it's easier to play for White, maybe. But...
Yeah, one thing I would say is that I think people aren't aware enough of how much you can play for mate in the endgame. I mean, this is very important. Playing for mate in the endgame is it's very common. I mean, you have many chances to play for mate in the endgame just by playing actively with your king. When I play a lot of online chess, and I get many games which I just literally play for mates. I mean, I don't get mates in the middle game. I never get mates in the middle game, but I do get quite a number of mates. I mean, and this is the thing about a position like this. It doesn't matter how many pawns Black's got. That's irrelevant. What matters is that it's White's king and rook. All White's forces are literally involved in a mating attack.
Yeah.
The E pawn is very likely to win the bishop in the next few moves. The bishop will have to sack itself for the E pawn, and you're going to get some kind of rook and bishop against rook where the king's on the ideal square. In fact, actually, one of the problems about this position from Black's point of view is that Black's own D pawn hinders his defence, because if Black didn't have a D pawn, then there'd be some important rook D2 check whenever that king went to D6. Really? Yeah. And then there's no mating attack. So that pawn blocks Black's defences. So when the king comes to D6, it's an absolute monster. I mean, objectively, there's a way to defend this, but I can't see it. I'm just reading. I'm looking at the bar. I can't. I mean,
Computer knows all.
computer knows everything. Yeah.
I mean, H3 was played, is that right? And then
Yeah, H3 was played.
That was the best move, in fact.
the king takes, yeah. And then H2. I mean, you can't really fault John.
Well, no, I mean, this is utter
and then
chaos.
Bishop G4. Wow.
G4. Well, then Rook C2.
Yep.
Yeah, Rook C2.
And then he's which is.
So now we've gone into a rook ending, but this is very good for black. So black's actually defended this very well. John's managed to defend this, and then
he's winning this. Well, that's not the way to win. That's equal. But let's put that rook back there and then see what is the way. How does black win this? Is it D4? No, D4. Is it King E8? Maybe I don't know. King. Why is white doing really well here? I mean, why is this not at least a draw for white? Black's got some really good move here, and I just can't see it. I mean, D4, E6. It must be D4. Okay, it must be D4.
Yeah.
Let's play D4 on the board.
I'm just going to say, when this pawn gets to D2, what? Yeah.
Yeah, D4's the move, and the problem is white hasn't.
Yeah.
The problem is white hasn't got a plan. It looks very dominating.
So is white going to go E6 here, for example?
It's not. There's no plan. E6 doesn't threaten anything.
No, I think you can just keep pushing. I mean.
Yeah, you just keep pushing.
Because you've got Rook C1 at the end, and you can't pick up either pawn because they're the one queens, right?
Yeah.
Like the D or the H pawn, so it's just
exactly.
And obviously, this check you just hide on.
Fine. Yeah.
Again, there's too many block lines on the king side because normally that white would hope to bring that B1 rook across somewhere to like an F file or a G file or an H file. So normally you'd better bring that rook across somewhere and threaten mate on the back rank.
Yeah, so I mean, Jack's saying instead of E6, maybe he'd have to try rook H1, but
and then rook C2.
I was going to say and then if rook back to B1.
If rook
but
B1,
then you just keep going.
C8.
Yeah.
Then king C8. Then maybe king C8.
Yeah, I think both work. You can either just run this pawn because you're always dropping back if there's a check, or king C8.
I like king C8 because then you can. Oh, the computer doesn't like king C8.
So it's amazing how complicated this position is.
I mean, I was about to sing praises, Keith, about your endgame and start to advertise, if you've got any sort of endgame book coming up. But judging by this performance, maybe I won't bother. I'm not sure.
Right. Play on.
E6.
E6, and now you're getting.
Okay, so now I'm going to go rook E2.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to let Tim play against you because he's better than me. So.
Yeah, no,
yeah. What a strange position.
It's a very tactical. I mean, rook endings are just hard, aren't they? If I'm honest.
Well, with these advanced pawns, it's almost impossible to.
No, I guess the move is rook C1 check, but let's see what the move was then. If it wasn't rook E2, let's see if we can find what the move was. I think here rook C1 check is your move.
Well, I think it's saying it's just equal in this position.
Yes, this is equal. So let's go back a couple of moves.
So yes, instead of king C8.
In king C8,
Here I've got the king C8 is. So I'm guessing. Okay, so I guess I go D3.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and then it's the same case. I suppose white has to go.
You can threat. E6 at least has a threat, right?
E6 has got a threat.
Yeah.
And it's now I go. Actually, no. Yeah. And now I go king. Well, no, I can't go king C8. Oh, now I go king C8. So you've now not got rook.
King C8 E7.
Oh, so well, something's good here. I wonder what it is. Rook B2. Let's try rook. Oh no, rook B2. You get mated. You get mated. Queen doesn't mean anything. So king C8, E7, rook E2, rook check is a complete position.
So Jack's I'm cheating again. But now you go rook C8.
I just put the rook back. Then you get your pawns to E2. To D2 and H2.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you can have loads of fun.
And you're queening with check, unfortunately, if that's the problem.
Queening the D pawn with check, yes.
It's strange because the king side is so clubbed that you can't play the normal moves you want to play with white. You can't play that rook across somewhere, threatening rook H8 mate, or threatening rook
Yeah,
G8
well,
records,
this is what you want to do.
F8
You want to go
Yeah,
rook
we got an
h1.
open file. It's like that. We had a situation like this in an earlier
Yeah.
game where it's
Yeah,
went the open files to get through them.
Yep.
it's quite nice that, obviously White would love to do this and play rook h8 checkmate here, but yeah, you as Tim said, you promote on d1 with check, and that's curtains. But
Yeah,
it shows how close and difficult these sort of endgames are. I mean, it's always one thing that's confused me. I don't know about you two. That like endgames, you've got so few pieces on the board. How can it possibly be more difficult than like some sort of middle game? I mean, it just feels almost counterintuitive, and yet you have to be so precise sometimes when there's so few pieces on the board.
yeah. Calculation's more important somehow. In the middle games, very often it's it, the pieces aren't directly interacting with each other. Your forces aren't tangled up with each other. You're on your side of the board, now on their side of the board, and
Mm,
a lot of the middle games, you're kind of improving your position. You're doing the right kind of move. But in the ending, very precise calculation is necessary.
yeah,
The calculation is more important in the end game than in the middle game. Uh,
I think there's quite a lot of positions in which intuition just breaks down, right? That's moves that sort of feel correct. That there's a very concrete reason why they don't work, and
yeah,
so that's why endgame technique is sort of
I
so
think
important.
if you could test this, if you put a typical end game position into an engine, it will very often have one move which is clearly better than the other moves. But if you put a typical middle game position to an engine, there'll be like three choices which are all very close to each other most of the time. Most of your typical middle game, but there'll be a number of moves which aren't that different to each other. I mean, you get critical moments, of course, when there's when
yeah,
when there's clearly a very good move. But your average middle game position, there's like three engine choices, and they're all quite close. The first three choices are all utterly close. You don't get that in end games so often.
yeah,
There's one clear cut move, very often one clear move, and so it's because calculation is more important.
yeah. It's. I mean, I've always struggled with the end game. It's always been my Achilles heel, along with the opening and middle game. But I've,
And I guess it's exaggerated in Blitz, isn't it? Because by the time you get to an ending in a Blitz game, often you've got very, very little time. So if you've seen the patterns before
mm,
and you're essentially playing that from memory,
yeah,
I've seen Keith play in I think it's the British Blitz Championship and got into some ending. And if you know what you're doing, you're playing essentially the optimal moves instantly. Yeah,
yeah,
because it's like learning opening theory. So
It is,
yeah,
yeah. There's a certain level of, I mean, actually, quite. I mean, just by chance, I was watching a Natasha Reagan interview with uh, Natasha and Matthew Sadler with
mm.
Peter Wells. It's quite. I mean, their Chess for Life interviews are very good. I've interviewed
They're excellent. Yeah, they're
Steve
really
Fitton,
good.
but the Pete one. I mean, Pete was saying he's surprised that in fact, it sounded like he didn't believe me that I haven't studied endgame books.
So
And
you've never studied endgame books?
No, I no, no,
Oh
I've not
wow.
studied endgame books. No, mate, but I've played thousands and thousands of games.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the point I was. I've forgotten what point I was
Sorry, I've
going.
distracted you.
Oh no, yeah, I forgot what.
well, no, I think we're saying it was like opening theory, and you could sort of learn it by rote. I think that was.
Yeah, but um, a lot of the time in my endgame play, I mean, Pete was saying this. They referred to it at this point that I have got a kind of autopilot for certain kinds of endgames, maybe particularly rook and pawn endgames, and it's just I'm not saying it's anything to brag about. It's the fact that I've simply been playing rook endings and endgames for 40 years. I've played thousands of them, and I've got used to the patterns. And excuse me, and patterns count a lot in rook and pawn. Although it is about precision, but that precision you can almost learn. You can learn by habit
Yeah.
what the right move is each time. Technique in the ending is a lot about pattern recognition, and actually you gain that from experience. Which is kind of why in my book I didn't give a lot of variation. What I tried to do was recreate my thoughts at the board rather than giving like the objective assessment,
Yeah.
rather than giving computer variations, because I don't think that stuff is very educational. I don't think what the computer says really teaches you a lot. I think I think what the the player thought at the board is probably more instructive than the kind of weird computer lines that computers are so good at throwing
Yeah.
up. So yeah, if at the board my thoughts were general rather than calculation, I reproduced those general thoughts, and if when I did calculate, I to the best of my memory, I reproduced those, the calculation.
Yeah. Is this in your Arkell's Odyssey book, or is this in?
No, this is in my England book, which is coming out in a few days. Arkell's Endings.
Is it in a few days then, or?
Literally in a few days, yeah.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
wow! I didn't actually know. I knew
I've been
you were
saying that for
writing one.
weeks.
I didn't realise it was so soon.
Yeah, I've been saying that for many months, but we really are. It's taken me 3.5 years. We really are there now. We're almost there. Yeah. Arkell's Endings. I wasn't planning to advertise it here, but like
No, well, yeah. I've opened the door. Here you are.
Arkell's Endings. It's in collaboration with Ginger GM.
Oh, excellent.
And Salman's first ever book, because Salman's famous for his DVDs. But
It's like he's in the room.
keep that impersonation. It's excellent.
Wait to hear my plasket.
Oh God.
But yeah, no. So yeah, we've joined forces with Chesham Bridge, who got the brilliant Richard Palliser, who's been doing some great work on getting everything right. And yeah, we're about to unleash it.
That's excellent.
On the chess world.
So. No, that's great. No, well, I mean, I think it's probably now is a good time to probably call the end of the stream. We've gone through that end game. Keith, Tim.
There's been 20 people or 19 people who stayed with us
right to the end.
Cheers, guys.
Peaked around 50, I think.
Yeah, we were over 50 for quite a long time, which is. I mean, to be honest, Tim and I were talking about this yesterday of sort of what range of numbers we would see, and it's way more than I predicted. So thanks so much for coming along. It's been good fun, especially having you, Keith, along to talk us through, because you can give so much more analysis than me and Tim ever can, quite frankly. And that's no offense to you, Tim. It's just Keith, you're just Grandmaster says it all, really, and Tim and I are, as we said, mere mortals.
Mere mortals, that's right.
But yeah,
you're a natural, Keith. I mean, I know you said you haven't done much of this, but I think that was yeah.
It's extraordinary. Yeah,
it's been good fun. It's been great working with you guys. It's been really good. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, the fact that you've said that you've never done commentaries before, and this is like the second thing you've done. You did a lecture earlier in the week, and now you're doing a commentary live, and it does seem to come very naturally, and yeah, it's been brilliant. So thanks very much for coming along, and again, thanks Tim for turning up again, and for all the work you've done for Devon chess during this ridiculously weird period. This has all come about because of you setting this all up. So I wish I'd said this earlier in the stream, but just didn't get the chance for all the action. But thanks ever so much for what you've done.
Yeah, well done,
Thanks,
Tim.
Tom.
Yeah,
Appreciate
been brilliant.
It. Thank you.
Well
Hopefully
done.
people will see that in the video at the end. And yeah, final thing is just thanks for everyone who's stayed to the end and watched. I don't know if you two have got any final comments.
Well done to Jack. Well, I was going to say well done to Jack. I actually realised he probably hasn't seen his trophy because he was playing his 4th game.
That's a good point. I'll bring up the trophy.
Yeah, that's right.
if you're still here, Jack, there's your trophy. It's a trophy.
There's a proper lockdown, socially distanced virtual trophy. So yeah,
you can add it to your many on the mantelpiece. You sound thrilled in the chat, Jack.
Yeah, well, very well done, Jack, and also well done, David. Well done, David.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're up against a scary young player, and you on the day you neutralised him. So
yeah. No, that's brilliant. Well, thanks very much, and I'm sure this won't be the last time that I speak to either of you, and probably not the last time we do a stream together either. But thanks very much for being here.
It's been great. I look forward to seeing you guys in the audience in real life again soon.
I hope so.
That'd be good.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, and thanks for watching.
Cheers.